to happen only 7 minutes in. Well, your agenda's showing again. Your agenda's showing again. Well, we could fix that. You know, I don't like people um being fooled, being lied to. I think it's wrong. I don't like getting lied to. And I sure as hell know that you don't like getting lied to. Now, no wonder why no one's done reaction video to this, because they shut it down. And now I am pretty sure I know why it's only gotten 200 some views on there. 200,000 views. Sorry about that, you guys. That was kind of creepy. Let's let everybody come back in here. Huh. That was crazy. Maybe I'm not going to blow it up again. Maybe I'm just going to keep it small frame here. So hopefully that will prevent the stream from being shut down again. There was nothing even being said yet. Why wouldn't you want people to hear this? Why wouldn't you want people to know the truth? Why wouldn't you want people awakened? Oh, because if we see what's really going on, we might band together. We might unify against this agenda that has been pushed to divide us all and say, well, we're not going to take that. Yeah, that's my goal here. So no matter what we have to do, the next time this happens, I'm going live on Rumble is what I'll do. And I'll do the whole damn thing. And I get to say what I want to, show what I want to. It doesn't matter. I am so over the censorship. I'm over the dictatorship. I am over the silencing of voices when the truth is being told. I am sick and tired of that. I am not going to let people be lied to. And I'm not going to lie to people. I'm going to tell you what the truth is. And again, if this gets shut down again, I will immediately move to Rumble. Because this is ridiculous. People deserve the truth. They deserve to see, here. They deserve to see different opinions, different perspectives. Aside from the mainstream media, I like to look at these little documentaries that expose a lot, because on here you get what the media won't say a word about. So I won't be blowing up my screen anymore. I'll be keeping it small, and I have a transparency filter on it as well. But I will not deal with the censorship. That's wrong. I wasn't even saying anything wrong but the damn truth. All right, we have to go back, you guys. That was bad. We had a lot of people in here, too. Well, hopefully they all know we're here now. So, Jim Carrey joins Bill Maher. This is 2019. And he's paying homage to Colin Kaepernick, the poster child for white privilege. Let's just put it factually. And Jim Carrey is a Canadian who has come to America, who has made the most money, right? How is he oppressed? I don't know. But apparently he has drank the Kool-Aid himself and loves, maybe gets paid to push the agenda just as much. I don't know. Are you guys? I get her too, yes. Obama. All right, you guys ready?
Today and bought me some freedom-friendly Nikes.
Yeah, that's right.
As a salute to Colin Kaepernick, to Nike, congratulations on your fantastic choice.
My Rumble is Just Gen Reacts.
Well,
It's good to be...
Here are you guys. Rumble. Hold on. In case this happens again. Let's go on. You go on my About page. You click on my channel. Go to About. Down here are all of my links. Rumble is right here. Just Gen Reacts. Here is the Rumble. I will give you the link just in case. I'll post it in the chat right here. Paste it. There we go. Just in case. Rumble.com/user/JustGenReacts. And I could sign in, and then if it happens again, well. All right, so Jim Carrey, he joins Bill Maher, which Bill Maher has now, he doesn't think like this anymore. It's crazy how that has shifted in a good way.
Be back
It's
in
great to-
dystopian America.
The Republicans are running with the word socialism. They're trying to say...
They're trying to scare people.
Scare people.
It's communism. It's
Venezuela, Trump says. We're going to be living in Venezuela.
I grew up in Canada. I'm here to tell you that this bullshit line that you get on all of the political shows from people is that it's a failure. The system is a failure in Canada. It is not a failure in Canada. I never waited for anything in my life.
You're no longer a Canadian, Jim, so how the hell could you say this? You're an American. You live here. Of course you don't have to wait for nothing in your life. You are the A-list. You are a celebrity. You get the red carpet rolled out for you just in case you need to go to rehab or something. You go to the best of the best. Shut up, dude. And do not believe any celebrity. Unless they're speaking out against this stuff, do not believe them. Because more than likely, they're part of this whole thing.
I chose my own doctors. My mother never paid for a prescription. It was fantastic. And I just got back from Vancouver, and I keep hearing this, like, Canadians are so nice. Canadians are so nice. They can be nice because they have health care. Because they have a government that cares about them.
Remember this. They have a government that cares about them. Vancouver, British Columbia. Oh, how was it there, Jim? Did you pass how many needle exchange programs? They have all kinds of insight. You could shoot your drugs there without any repercussions from the police. You can also, there are people in Vancouver, British Columbia that order drugs, pharmaceutical grade drugs off of the dark web, and they give them to people so that they don't get fentanyl. But it's perfect there, right? Shut up, dude. You're living under a tyrannical dictator. And what we'll be seeing next year, you guys, remember what happened when the truckers protested? Oof. This right here is proof that Justin Trudeau has gotten a little bit too big for his britches. I mean, he idolizes Xi Jinping, so can we expect anything different?
In Canada, the authorities say it's now a state of emergency. Riot gear swept through Canada's capital.
Today, police in Ottawa used batons and pepper spray.
They just trampled on lady. Look what you did to her!
Medical wait times in this country are longer than ever.
The cost of living just keeps climbing.
There's a socialist coup unfolding in Canada, and we taxpayers are funding it.
In the recent years, a lot of Canadians have been watching their once well-regarded country become what some are even calling tyrannical.
A country previously hailed as the most free and democratic in the world.
Now, the People's World, the official West Coast newspaper of the Communist Party, ran this rather interesting editorial. What is needed now is an effort that begins to approximate the magnitude of the problem. As a minimum, such a program should demand massive emergency action by the federal government.
The federal government has invoked the Emergencies Act.
That dude is I can't stand him. I can't stand Justin Trudeau. He is a snake. He is a cold-hearted snake. Ask any Canadian who's in this stream right now. How y'all faring under Justin Trudeau? The shit that he has done is like Third Reich shit. It's crazy. It's scary that the government could do this to its people, its own people. Shit, I grew up knowing Canada, right? The Trailer Park Boys. You could always sleep with your doors open. I don't know if that's changed because they They got Trudeau in there. Not for the better.
As of today, a bank or other financial service provider will be able to immediately freeze or suspend an account without a court order.
If you are involved in this protest, we will actively look to identify you and follow up with financial sanctions and criminal charges.
Banks have already started to freeze the accounts of people involved in the protests.
Please get out. Immediately get out. Intimidating people in a church during the Passover. Unbelievable.
Growing up under communist dictatorship, I have been warning Canadians that that's what's coming. I could smell it. I could see it at every corner. We will not put up with this anymore. We are fighting back.
Protests, public protests, are an important part of...
Hold on. Trudeau, Canadians who protested him are... You're racist, you're misogynistic, and you are anti-vaxxer mobs. Excuse me? No, they weren't. No, they weren't. They beeped their freaking horns and they hung flags outside of their trucks. That's what they did. And they said, we're not going to stop. But they wanted to shut the whole world down. With the truckers are needed to bring us the necessities to survive. They have to feed their families. My God, man, I can't.
Making sure we're getting messages out there, but using protests to demand changes to public policy is something that I think is worrisome.
Okay. So here we have the Prime Minister of Canada saying that, yes, we have a highly functioning democracy and they have the right and freedom to protest. However, if those protests are used to demand change in government policy, then no.
That's what a protest is for. It's wrong if it's against me. Wait a minute, you could protest for anything else. BLM, Antifa, hell, steal whatever's not nailed down, burn shit down, destroy everything. I don't care as long as you're not protesting against me and my communism, my communist policies. You're going to freeze people's bank accounts because they're against your agenda? Wow. You guys, this is scary. This is petrifying. My neighbors to the north, everybody else is seeking asylum here. I don't see how you guys could survive there.
Small fringe minority who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing. Do not represent the views of Canadians who know that following the science and stepping up to protect each other is the best way to continue to ensure our freedoms, our rights, our values as a country.
So what he just said was, follow the science, trust the science, and if you want to continue to have your freedoms, your own money, peace of mind, peace, you don't want us to, break down your door and do all kinds of crazy stuff to you, I highly suggest you trust that science. Eek. This is what they're guilty
Liberal
of
Prime
doing.
Minister Justin Trudeau claims to be following the science, but Trudeau's science often comes in the form of this bizarre authoritarian technocracy.
I think that Justin Trudeau stepped on the landmine when he weaponized the banking system in Canada against the truckers. Those peaceful trucker protests,
What's
their
up,
most
Demons
violent
Row?
act
How
was
are you,
honking their
bud?
horns. And in retaliation, they had their access to their bank accounts, and anybody that supported them in any way had their access to bank accounts eliminated. And at that moment in time, we all came to realize what was really going down.
Even with Sun TV watching for any slip, he was asked which country he most admired and referred to China.
The level of admiration I actually have for China, because their basic dictatorship is allowing them.
I applaud China for stepping up. I applaud Canada.
I applaud. Just say what you really mean, Joe. How can you applaud China I get it. They're a great country. We have borrowed lots of money from China. Too much. A lot. Trillions. But how could you? It all fits into the plan, y'all. It all fits into the plan.
Is allowing them.
I applaud China for stepping up. Excuse me, I applaud Canada. You can tell what I'm thinking.
They laugh.
A prime minister who openly admires the Chinese basic dictatorship, who tramples on fundamental rights by persecuting and criminalizing his own citizens as terrorists just because they dared to stand up to his perverted concept of democracy, should not be allowed to speak in this house at all. Mr. Trudeau, please spare us your presence. Thank you.
Canadians know where I stand. This is a moment for responsible leaders to think carefully about where they stand and who they stand with.
He's evil. He's freaking evil. I hope you see this. I hope you see this, Justin Trudeau. I pray that you see this. You are one of the most evil, vile, corrupted dictators I have seen ever. How? How could you turn your back on your own people? You're treasonous. You are guilty of treason. Oh, Canada, I am so sorry. I wish I could save y'all. I do. What's up, Demon Real? Thank you so much, man. Thank you. The New World Order. It's exactly what this is. Did you hear him?
While Justin Trudeau makes a compelling case study, he is not the only dictator on the rise. Under the new rules provided by the COVID-19 emergency, many other elected leaders were empowered to show their true colors. Interesting how they all marched in perfect lockstep while chanting the same slogans.
This pandemic has provided an opportunity.
Here we are now with an economy in crisis, but with an incredible opportunity.
It's certainly a major crisis, but it also offers us a unique opportunity.
Unprecedented opportunity to rethink and reset.
The great opportunity for reset.
Opportunity for us to reset.
For a reset.
It's almost as if they all attended the same school of thought and studied under the same professor.
Schwab.
Some people would say this revolution is characterized by the fight of robots against human beings. And we will win this fight.
Professor Klaus Schwab was born in 1938 in Ravensburg, Germany.
Now, the Great Reset. You know, a lot of people died, including my father. Right there. I'm so angry. So angry. The Great Reset, it was a population control thing. It was a power struggle. It was, let's see if we can get these people to follow along. Sheep. What happens to sheep? They're led to what? Slaughter. So many people died. And so many people conformed. There was videos. There's probably thousands of videos out there of people attacking one another for wearing masks. When the people that were anti-mask were shunned and looked at like they're like Nazis. Mask Nazis, mask Karens. I just can't. The Great Reset. That's what this is. Unfortunately, there was people that had to go.
Where Nazi crimes against humanity were committed. His father, Eugene Wilhelm Schwab, was the managing director of Escher Weiss Ravensburg, a company that used slave labor to manufacture weapons of war for the Third Reich. While Klaus's father was at the helm, the Nazi Party awarded Escher Weiss Ravensburg the title of National Socialist Model Company.
Huh.
Years later, Klaus Schwab joined the board of directors at Escher Weiss Ravensburg, where he played a key role in the development of South Africa's nuclear weapons program during the darkest years of the racist apartheid regime. Today, Klaus Schwab is the founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum.
One more time for the kids in the back. He is the leader of the World Economic Forum. World Economics Forum.
Founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
If you'd like to meet the people who are supposed to repair the state of the world, or give a piece of your mind to the bankers who helped get us into this mess, we can tell you where to find a lot of them. The World Economic Forum.
Founded in 1971, the World Economic Forum is an international private organization which receives billions of tax-free dollars from its members and their global enterprise.
Here he is. Look at this man. Does anybody recognize him? Who is that guy? Anybody? One more time. Can anybody recognize this guy? I recognize him. He's a very evil man. He's Hungarian, I think. Hungarian. He sold some people out during Nazi Germany. He's one of the wealthiest men in the world today. His son is married to Nancy Pelosi's daughter. His son, Alex, is more progressive than he is. This is George Soros. He's part of the WEF. And before this documentary, I'm sure they worked on it for a long time. But didn't we just lose 2 of the leaders of the WEF in the submarine crash? Yeah, sure did.
Every year, the WEF brings together its members with world leaders, big pharma executives, tech titans, Hollywood celebrities, media personalities, and internet influencers.
Don't do that!
To meet in the secluded mountains
Don't you
of
dare!
Davos, Switzerland.
It is a tiny town folded into the Swiss Alps, a village where you could bump into Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, the head of Google, and the Queen of Jordan, all in one place.
Now we know why they didn't want this aired. You hear that?
Bill Gates, the head of Google, and the Queen of Jordan, all in one place. A lot of reporters cover the forum, but few get inside.
I would love
It
to
turns
sneak
out
in there.
there are 2 Davoses, one you see and one you don't. After hours, there are hundreds of private parties where deals are done. People who can't be seen together in public can meet here.
Your Royal Highnesses, Excellencies, distinguished heads of state and government, the future is built by us, by a powerful community as
There's Leo
you here in this
DiCaprio.
room.
Klaus Schwab, the founder of the WEF, is particularly upfront and even proud of his ability to shape and influence world politics.
I created the community of global shapers as a means, as a force to shape our common future.
And of course, their Global Young Leaders program is a grooming ground so that when they ultimately infiltrate cabinets,
We penetrate the cabinets.
they will likely tend to govern a certain way.
Nobody will be safe if not everybody is vaccinated.
The names and the countries he mentioned ended up being some of the most dystopian and authoritative during this pandemic.
Names like Ms. Merkel, Vladimir Putin, and so on.
Other names? Jacinda Ardern, Sebastian Kurz, Mauricio Macri, Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Ma, Gavin Newsom, Stéphane Bancel, Chelsea Clinton, Leonardo DiCaprio, Sanjay Gupta, Dr. Leana Wen, Alexander and Jonathan Soros, George Soros' sons, and several of the Rothschilds.
Holy shit balls of fire. Both of the Soros kids, right? All of these politicians, right? Bad Putin, F Putin. Really? Again, we are on both sides, man. This is global domination. What the frick does what's eating Gilbert Grape got to do with the WEF? Because he's one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood. That's why. Because he can invest. Oh, man, this is bad. This is really, really bad for us little people. The rich people, the lead execs at Google, Facebook, you know, they're cool. They're going to be just fine because they play right along with this shit. But you and me, guys, we better get some lube. Get some lube for when you are bent over, because they are going to take it either way. If we don't stand up and start waking up to what's really going on, do you see now why they want us so divided by political views, by race? This shit right here. And it's only getting deeper. Oh, God. Oh, fuck.
And of course.
Now, who could represent such a world better than you, Prime Minister?
We got to rewind that, because there he was talking about who else, who better than to be my dystopian new tyrannical dictator. Well, Justin Trudeau, of course, because he's a fucking puppet. He'll do anything I say. He'll sell his own people out. He'll kill his own people. Who gives a shit, right? Ooh, Lord. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. The blackface, that was just a precursor of what was to come, okay? Dude's a grifter. He don't give a shit. He cares about money. He don't care about nobody. Oh, look at Joe Biden. This is why Donald Trump is a threat. He knows all of this shit.
And of course.
Now, who could represent such a world better than you, Prime Minister?
In 2014, Klaus Schwab called for the Great Reset.
We need a Great Reset.
Which he positioned as the solution to the world's most urgent issues. The dark reality of Schwab's agenda is detailed in his best-selling book, COVID-19, The Great Reset. His endgame mission is to replace independent governance with a top-down controlled, one-world government and a central bank-controlled digital currency.
And Bill Gates, who's part of the WEF, wants people to eat bugs. Bugs! Thank you, Cedar Magic. Bugs, motherfuckers. Bugs. Did you see this? 1 million people will be displaced by climate change. This whole, the whole agenda is mapped out in his book. He is so brazen that he will put it on paper. Hardcover or paperback. It don't matter to him. Because how are we going to stop him when we are so divided? Not very easily. Now, if we were to unite, if we were to stop for 1 second and say climate control, race, COVID, all of this shit, political views, if we were to say stop it enough, get together, y'all, we could stop this. Thank you so much. The Great Reset and the dumb guise of climate control is eugenics and population control over again. Just more advanced PR and mind manipulation than World War II, grooming young dictators around the world. Shame, shame. Yes, hallelujah, praise Jesus. You see it. Thank you. Thank you. And for some of you who are on the fence, who are, these right-wingers, these left-wingers, wake up. Wake up. Please, I'm begging you, wake up. If you don't wake up and start loving thy neighbor, okay? And start having each other's backs, they're going to get away with all of this shit.
Controlled, one world government, and a central bank controlled digital currency.
I need less meat. I like steak, bitch.
You'll be happy. What they mean is you'll be enslaved. That's why they're talking about a great reset. That's why they're talking about introducing this quasi-communist, quasi-socialist agenda. They know we've run the course where we cannot continue down the path of the ever-increasing indebtedness because we have a generation that quite literally cannot afford to buy a house.
Millions of Americans are priced out of buying a home.
And so it's easy to tell that generation, we're going to forgive your college debt.
Student debt relief.
And set your expectations lower. You're going to rent forever. We're going to celebrate the tiny our narrative so that we become capable of expecting less. What we need to do is not expect less.
Demand
we
more.
need to remove inefficiencies so we can experience more.
Thank you.
And that's the subtle distinction that the Great Reset is missing.
Like most globalists, Schwab regards communist China as a shining model of how he intends to transform the world.
Look, man, I'll tell you what. In China, people are not allowed to speak out. They have so much information on their people. They have, I think, 7 billion cameras around China. They could literally zoom in on you, get all of your information, put it all out there on a screen, and publicly shame you. Social credit score is real over in China. Digital currency, medical passports. That's all real in China. That's what they want here. Xi Jinping just said, we're going to make sure that you have a vaccine passport. They already got all of our stuff, y'all. Anybody go for a test? They got it. They got everything about you. Zuckerberg, why you think? I just got a class action lawsuit email today. They sold all of our personal information. They know who our children are. They know where we live. They know where we bank at. They know everything. And we gave it right over to them. Thank you, Kirk. This is scarier than any horror flick I have ever seen. This is like The Exorcist on anabolic steroids because it's fucking real. It's real. Oh my God, man. Yeah, you guys check your emails, because if you were a member of Facebook from 2009 to 2015, they sold all of your shit to China. Sure did.
We now welcome His Excellency Xi Jinping. China has made significant economic and social achievements under your leadership.
Chinese influence on global affairs is growing. The founder of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, says that this is what motivated the group this year to invite President Xi Jinping to deliver the keynote address in Davos.
Schwab said Xi's presence was a sign of the shift from a unipolar world dominated by the United States to a more multipolar system in which rising powers like China will have a step up and play a bigger role.
I think it's a role model for many countries. But we have to go one step further.
Right there. This is like what that comment was, that super chat was. This is the new propaganda. Like, this makes World War II and what the Nazis did look like it wasn't that bad at all. We have to do it on a much bigger scale. This man wants world domination. He wants things ran his way. Oh my. Scary times. And Joe Biden, getting him in office was the worst thing that America could have done. That's why they are so hell-bent on charging Donald Trump, putting him in prison for the rest of his life. Please, you guys, wake up. If you're on that fence and you're still anti-Trump, please open your eyes. Please. So much bigger than that. So much bigger.
It's a systemic transformation of the world. Artificial intelligence, the metaverse, synthetic biology. Our life in 10 years from now will be completely different, and who masters those technologies will be the master of the world.
Similar to his protege, Justin Trudeau, Klaus Schwab makes a fascinating case study. Yet he too is merely the master of his own world. Economic Forum.
Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds, the IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud. These are the new driving forces of evolution.
I'm scared.
Today, we have the technology to hack human beings on a massive scale. And by this I mean that if you have enough data and you have enough computing power, you can understand people better than they understand themselves, and then you can manipulate them in ways which were previously impossible. You know, the whole idea that humans have this soul or spirit and they have free will, that's over. Now, how exactly will the future masters of the planet look like? This will be decided by the people who own the data.
Foreign powers can collect, store, and exploit biometric information from COVID tests.
Well, okay. All right. To avoid getting shut down again, I'm going to have to pause this. We're going to be here for 14 fucking hours, it seems like. I'm sorry. If you don't have, just chill. If you don't have like 14 doctorates, you're going to be just fine. Don't worry. It's the people like us who see through it and are not as easily manipulated, okay? These people that have all of these medical degrees and have gone to college for 30 fucking years, they're doomed because they trust the science. They go with what as a whole, right? As a consensus, a medical consensus. We, the people who are not easily manipulated and can see right through it, we're going to be okay as long as we can get people to unite. Please preach it to everybody you know. Whatever political differences you may have had before this very moment, please put them aside. Whatever racial divide that you might have, please put them aside. However you feel about lesbian, gay, whatever, just please put that aside, because that is all a part of the plan to divide us all.
U.S. intelligence officials tell CBS News that China is trying to collect Americans' DNA in hopes of controlling the future of healthcare.
China's test kits are a tool to help China compile genetic data.
The Chinese aren't the only ones exploring this technology. The U.S. is working on it as well.
The White House is ramping up its COVID response, announcing Americans can once again get free COVID test kits as concerns are growing over a rare...
Data is the most important asset in the world. Those who control the data control the future, not just of humanity, but the future of life itself.
Everywhere she goes, Ouyang Haoyu is followed. What she buys, how she behaves, is tracked and scored to show how responsible and trustworthy she is. It's called the social credit system. A person's reputation is scored on a scale of 350 to 950. It's big data meets Big Brother, expanding how the government monitors, understands, and ultimately controls its 1.4 billion citizens.
A good score brings benefits, but people with low scores lose rights. The cinema names and shames people considered untrustworthy, plastering their details, even their addresses, across big screens.
And information collectors are paid to report on their neighbors.
The Supreme Court has created a blacklist for so-called bad citizens. Among them is this journalist who got a little too close to uncovering corruption among high-profile party members. He was blacklisted. He only realized when he tried to buy a train ticket.
Once you're blacklisted, you can no longer get a bank loan, start a business, buy an apartment, or even send your children to a private school.
By using the mechanism of social credit, we'll be able to establish a blacklist of people. These punishments will serve as a whip to rebuild moral values.
And few here are willing to criticize it, something that may pose a risk itself for a bad score and the life that comes with it.
Yeah, you can't say anything. You cannot say a damn thing about this, because who are you going to stand up against? That is why they are able to control over 1 billion people. It is so scary. And people want communism here? You want that here? Because we're known as the free world. We're known as the land of the free, the home of the brave. We can't have that. We can't have total domination if the USA isn't ready to adapt to the communist way. For every one person in China, there are 6 or 7, I think, 6 or 7 cameras. It's scary, y'all. And look, man, I'd be screwed. I'd be so screwed. Don't you be bringing that social credit score shit here. I've been busting my ass for years to get my credit score up. But I tell you what, I ain't gonna lie to people. And I will not stand for the corruption. I think it's wrong. And that is immoral. What China is doing to their people is immoral. It's control. And it's ugly. And I don't like it. And I sure as shit don't want it here. Or in Canada. Nowhere in North America. You want to keep that communism shit over there, China? Go right ahead, keep it. But I tell you what, your people are not happy. This lady here and this guy, oh, we're just going to make sure that you act right. Fuck you. Try me.
Values.
And few here are willing to criticize it. Something that may pose a risk itself for a bad score and the life that comes with it.
It may seem scary, but it's just like that here. We're used to it. And anyway, we don't have a choice.
No choice.
China wants obedient citizens. Criticism or resistance among the population is virtually non-existent.
This woman's door was kicked in by police when she refused to go to quarantine.
Now these videos show rows of metal containers which are being used to house COVID-19 patients. Some of them have complained that very little food is left for them in the freezing metal boxes.
Chinese government officials now installing fences in Shanghai, blocking people from leaving their homes.
For some, Shanghai feels like the world's largest prison.
How does a handful of autocrats gain total control over a population of 1.4 billion?
Money and manipulation.
I have 2 master degrees, one in clinical psychology, one in statistics. And at the beginning of the crisis, I started to study the statistics a little bit. The initial mathematical models and the initial statistics all had dramatically overrated the dangerousness of the virus. That was the moment when I started to think how it was possible that an entire society and an entire population was in the grip of a narrative which in many respects was blatantly wrong. After a few months it became clear to me that the only mechanism that could explain what was happening in society was what is usually referred to as mass formation. Mass formation is identical to hypnosis. And this term refers to a specific kind of group formation, which has very special characteristic effects at the level of individual mental functioning. And one of these effects is that an individual that is in the grip of mass formation typically lose every capacity to take a critical distance from what they believe in, from what the group believes in.
You would think it would be people with lower IQs that would be more susceptible to this, but it seems to be the other way around. Are you seeing this?
I have seen this, and it does seem to be predicted by educational status and IQ.
So I told y'all, if don't worry about it, somebody makes fun of you for not having a very high IQ, who the fuck's got the last laugh now? Who's got the last laugh? Because I'd rather be a free thinker with not a very high IQ than a fucking sheep with a high IQ.
We look to be verified for our belief system, right? And so a doctor goes to the CDC. The CDC says this is true. It must be true. I'm staying in that zone. It's actually people outside of the system go, well, I want to challenge the CDC here for a second. Where's this study come from? Where's it, and that's what I do.
All of these people were kept out of the conversation.
All I can comment
and you were
there.
wanting me to sign onto a social contract where the scientific method isn't being used.
I'm not interested in medical pedigree. I'm interested in medical consensus.
People who are highly intelligent tend to go and get a lot of degrees. Those people have spent so many years in institutions to get those degrees that they have developed a trust and confidence in not only the educational institutions, but those that support them, which are largely government bodies. And so they start from the place of, if it's told by the university, by the government, it's probably going to be true.
What I've learned about science is that it's really imagine they're looking at like a fragment of the world, and it's all they see. It's all they're looking at. The world, they don't see the world.
So I think that there's a disconnect between people who are smart and have lots of degrees with actual reality, with the lived experience of nature, of life, that you don't see with people who are actually working with their hands outdoors all of the time.
A mass formation typically emerges in a society when very specific conditions are met. First and for all, the most central condition is a major part of the population needs to feel lonely.
Remember that, you guys? Do you remember when the lockdowns happened and you're driving home from the grocery store? You have to have a mask on. You have to use a hand sanitizer when you get in, or you can't go in. You're driving at 8 p.m. Typically, you see cars passing you, people watering their grass. And it's a dystopian difference. Like, there is nobody on the road. Nobody. It's like a ghost town. It was very, like, pre-apocalyptic. It was like, I got the weirdest sense just driving home and seeing nobody else on the road. I didn't see police. I didn't see anybody. We had our governor. This was the weirdest shit ever. You have to be in the house by 10 p.m. because, of course, Rona is much more dangerous after 10 p.m. So you better be in your home by 10 p.m. Ohioans had a fit. We had an absolute fit. What do you mean? Florida was like, we ain't closing down. We're not dumbing down our students. It was one of the worst feelings that I've ever felt. And all of these statistics, the survival rates were so high, but why did so many people die from the shot? Trust the science. Yeah, well, that science killed my dad. Hands down. Fuck your science.
A major part of the population needs to feel lonely.
And then when it's back to normal, y'all feel like, hallelujah!
Say the very rules to keep people safe from the virus are doing great damage when it comes to anxiety, depression, and even suicide. And now everyone is suffering, but children are particularly at risk.
The real pandemic here is the psychological warfare that's being waged on every single human being. See, if you take a human being and you put them in a chronic fear state, and you couple that with human isolation, what happens is they psychologically decompensate and live in such emotional pain that they will gravitate in an irrational way to anything that you promise them will alleviate that pain.
Once people feel disconnected from their environment, they will typically start to experience a lack of meaning-making in life. And under these conditions, if a narrative is distributed through the mass media, indicating an object of anxiety and a strategy to deal with this object of anxiety, they suddenly, connect to one small object of fear, for instance the coronavirus, and afterwards, people don't feel lonely anymore. They feel connected again.
Let me hear it if you've had the Pfizer vaccine. Let me hear it from Moderna. AstraZeneca. Let's hear it from the anti-vaxxers.
The new kind of social bond is highly problematic, just because the connections between the individuals even deteriorate more, and the bond between the individual and the collective becomes stronger and stronger and stronger, which make them willing to sacrifice everything for the collective. Its health, its wealth, the future of its children, everything. Something else that is really characteristic of individuals in mass formation is that they become radically intolerant for dissonant voices.
The people who are not getting vaccines, it's time to start shaming them. What else? Or leave them behind.
Vaccinated person having a heart attack? Yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy, rest in peace, Wheezy.
We have.
You guys, do we know what was in those, do we? For all we know, we could have some kind of microchip in there. We don't know. We were all scared. I regret what I did. I regret going to have dinner with a famous musician. I should have said, fuck it. I'll meet you virtually. I allowed that because I couldn't. You have to be vaccinated to come. I should have said, fuck it. I didn't. I live with it every day where my oldest son, I'm like, come on, we got to go get this vaccine. And now I'm afraid that if he runs track or something, he'll die. I don't know what to do. I did not give it to my youngest. But I feel like I betrayed my own child. I don't know what to do.
To stop coddling the morons who will not get the shot.
Get away from
Put it on. Does it bother anybody else that she doesn't have to wear a mask that we all do?
When are we going to stop putting up with the idiots in this country?
You're a schmuck for not wearing a mask.
And just say it's mandatory to get vaccinated.
Screw your freedom.
People who do not go along with the masses are stigmatized, and in the end, the masses are inclined to destroy the people who do not go along with them, and they do so as if it is an ethical duty to do so.
Getting good people to do bad things, harmful things, while thinking they're good things, it's a dangerous place to be because it looks great. You feel great while you're being used.
They will sacrifice themselves, and they see it as a virtue because it demonstrates their complete obedience to the cult, to the group, to perform ritualistic behavior which causes them harm.
One of the most clear illustrations of this was when the leaders of the Communist Party in the Soviet Union were sentenced to death, often tortured to death. They did not object. They said things like, if this helps the Communist Party, it's my pleasure to do it. That's something that was observed in all major examples of mass formation in history.
I was born in communist China 2 years before Mao started his Cultural Revolution. So we had to be indoctrinated and chanting slogans and holding Chairman Mao's little red books to say, long live Chairman Mao, long live Communist Party.
Inspired by Soviet Union dictators Vladimir Lenin and Joseph Stalin, China's communist leader, Mao Zedong, borrowed from the playbook of the Russian Revolution.
What's so ironic is those were the same people that killed Xi Jinping's father and his sister. Same people. Same exact people who killed his father, and now look what he's doing. He's doing the same damn thing. It's very ironic and very scary that this is even possible. But now, today, these kids in China are praising their leader and telling everybody how they can't wait to kill Americans at 5 and 6 years old. There's already Chinese soldiers in Cuba. What the hell are they doing there? So close to our border. Well, do they even have to worry about it? Our border's wide open. Come on in. They have. They have cavemen. Why are Chinese coming through our border through Mexico? Ask yourself that question. And why are our cries to close the border falling on deaf ears? He's letting anybody and everybody in here. He doesn't give a shit. He's going to die soon anyways. What the fuck does he care?
To fight anti-communist forces, Lenin organized a military branch of his Communist Party, known as the Red Army. Following suit, Mao branded his army the Red Guards.
I wish I would have stood up
However,
against it.
Mao's soldiers were not enlisted from his military.
Like an idiot.
His Red Guards were made up of high school and university students.
So he used young people to start cultural revolution, to top down statues, burning old buildings, and demonize all religions, going after all dissident voices.
That sound familiar?
And to turn all the Chinese against each other, family turn on each other, neighbors turn on each other.
Chairman Mao, as he was known, was deeply influenced by Lenin's ideas on Marxism and revolution, and often praised Stalin as a great leader.
He started his Great Leap Forward campaign in the 50s and killed 2 million landlord owners, 40 million to 60 million people estimated starving to death. The people were trading their children's dead bodies to eat, to survive. Cannibalism was everywhere.
Through war, torture, execution, and famine, Chairman Mao caused the death of 80 million innocent people, making him the deadliest dictator of all time.
China shaved the heads of women, put them all in unattractive asexual clothes, did the same thing for the men. This technique has been used in the 20th century by every totalitarian regime.
Does that sound familiar to you? Gender bender. Does it sound familiar to you? Destroying religion. Does it sound familiar to you yet? Is it sinking in yet? Is it sinking in yet? I hope it does. Because it's done sank into me. See, here's the thing. You might have been able to sway me in to taking that stupid vaccine, but I am wide awake and I am dead set against any of this dictatorship, this Marxism, this communism bullshit that's literally going on right now. This is history repeating itself, and in not a good way, not a good fashion. This is very scary, you guys. Very scary. Very scary.
Heads of women, put them all in unattractive asexual clothes, did the same thing for the men. This technique has been used in the 20th century by every totalitarian regime.
What's up, guys? Happened, Jay? Hi, guys. Love you guys. Are you seeing this shit? You fucking seeing this shit? Another great pair of content creators, you guys, Half and Jai. Please go make sure you subscribe to them. Okay, look. All of us people are waking up to this. Everybody. Now, if I'm really grateful to see my fellow content creators talking about this. Why aren't y'all doing music no more? Well, because this is more important. This is more important that we show the world what the hell is going on in our world so that we can stand up together and stop it. We have these platforms. Using them for the greater good is probably the best thing that we could do to service everybody, including ourselves. Make sure you are subscribed to Half and Jai, please. They're good people. Good content. Awake. Don't be woke, be awake. And now all this woke, gender, trans, all this ideologies is all a part of their plan. And when we don't have money like the Soroses do, the only weapon that we have is our voice.
Mao wanted to create a genderless society. That's why girls like me cannot wear beautiful clothes and cannot do makeup. We have to just look like boys, unisex, no gender.
They asexualize the population so that there's no more desire, no more bipolarity of male and female. Everybody looks like an automaton. And then what do? Rather than turning towards one another, they turn towards the state.
So the only thing left for me, a child, to believe in is communism. And Mao was the new God.
Yeah, if you don't praise them, they kill you. Lovely. F&J is amazing. Please watch their stuff. They have really good content, you guys.
Now, in China, the government is not only cracking down on Muslims, but on other religions as well, as it pushes to assert communist ideology.
Here's something else that is banned in China: Falun Gong, a religious movement that emphasizes on spiritual enlightenment and cultivation of virtue.
5,000-year-old Chinese civilization were founded on faith. Communist regime is atheist. So any philosophies which encourage people to believe God, believe good things, is something they don't like. I decided to escape China after serious persecution I have experienced.
Under this pretext of COVID-19 coronavirus,
what was one of the first things to be closed down in many Democrat-ran states? Even Republican-ran, which is really crazy. Churches. It was more dangerous for you to go to church than, let's say, a concert. Yeah. This is all a part of the plan. They want people to not believe in God. They want you to be atheist or something else. And if you are, well, you basically got one foot on the grave and one on a banana peel because they've got you. You need strong morals and values to be strong-willed and strong-minded to fight against this. I'm not rolling with this communist shit. Bite me.
under this pretext of COVID-19 coronavirus, the Chinese Communist Party has intensified its persecution.
We were arrested several times and detained in various detention and brainwashing centers.
Over the past few years, a vast network of camps has been built across Xinjiang.
A series of classified bulletins show how easy it is to be singled out by the Chinese government for education and training.
The U.S. Defense Department says as many as 3 million are being forcibly detained in re-education and forced labor camps.
China calls them thought transformation camps built to prevent extremism from spreading, but reports indicate they're more like prisons.
When I was detained in detention center, I was handcuffed and hung over a radiator pipe with my toes barely touching the ground. And I was hung over there for 3 days. The CCP guards brought 4 male detainees into my cell and began one of the worst experiences of torture. And on the brink of death, I realized I could do nothing but turn to my belief. So I pray to be saved. Moments later, one of the 4 male detainees suddenly fainted on the floor, which interrupted the torture.
I left China because my parents were heavily persecuted for their practice of Falun Gong. From age 1 to age 5, my grandparents are taking care of me because my parents, they were always inside some dark cells being tortured. My first clear memory of my mother, I was brought to a brainwashing center and saw her being tied up to a chair with like people behind her guarding her, and she had a very thick plastic tube inserted into her nose, and she was being force-fed at the time. She just looked like she was in so much pain, and I was 5 at the time. It's just very traumatizing. My school principal actually came to me several times and told me not to be a part of my parents and to report any activity that my parents would do.
Throw your parents
They're
under the bus.
instilling all the lies and hatred into the younger generation.
The young people are used today to do the American Cultural Revolution, to turn the kids basically not to trust their parents anymore.
Does that ring a bell? Teachers, activists, educators, indoctrinators. Does that ring a bell? Hey kids, your parents screwed up. Hide all of this stuff from your parents. Are you trans? Let's hide that from your parents because they're conservative. They believe in God. They will not accept you like I can accept you. Let's hide your new name. Let's use some made-up pronouns for you. And if they don't want to roll with this, we will take you away from them and put you in state-run facilities. Gavin Newsom, do you remember that he's part of the WEF? Separating and destroying the family unit, the nuclear family, is seen as a threat because strength in numbers. This is petrifying. It's already happening here, you guys. This little girl crossing out a picture of her family and erasing the part where they're holding hands. This is happening already here. The more I watch this documentary, the more I realize that we got a lot of work to do. This is just scratching the surface. This is like an iceberg. The tip is 10% above the water. There's still 90% underneath. Oh boy.
The young people are used today to do the American Cultural Revolution, to turn the kids basically not to trust their parents anymore. And say, oh, my parents don't understand me, I'm confused, so I need to turn to my teachers, turn to other authority figures. Look at the Mao's Cultural Revolution to say how many similarities are there.
Too many.
Communism will win. That's not a joke. That will happen.
You are happy with what was happening in the USSR between 1917...
We make a critique of it. That's what we're Maoists. We make a critique of it in order to improve socialism the next time it comes around and throws people like your ass into a labor camp.
Maoist,
Yesterday, I asked ChatGPT, are there any similarities between today's woke revolution and Chairman Mao's cultural revolution of the 1960s? And it wrote back, how long do you have?
Share this documentary with everybody you know.
We recognize that government is absolutely necessary for an orderly society. But following the dictum that government, like fire, is both beneficial and dangerous, we believe in the concept of limited government, And we believe that the constitutional republic created by our founding fathers is the best form of limited government that has yet been devised by man. A republic is a limited democracy. It's a form of government based upon the principle of limited majority rule. Limited so that the minority, even a minority of one, can be protected against the whims and passions of the majority. Now, democracy is a form of government based upon the principle of majority rule. It's easy to understand, easy to sell to the masses, and, I might add, deadly.
The fathers of philosophy, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, were all staunch critics of democracy. History's greatest minds all observed that even a well-intended democracy can breed deception, division, and ultimately total control by the state.
Aristotle wrote that democracy is not just the rule of the majority. Democracy is a system in which the majority is in charge, respecting the basic elementary rights and principles of minorities. If not, democracy becomes a tyranny of the majority.
Socrates himself became a victim of this very process. He was sentenced to death by a majority vote for protesting the rights and protections of the minority.
This country was founded on the principle that the individual is sovereign over the institution of government. And it's about a philosophy of governance that says that you are a free individual, or a philosophy of governance that says you're serf and you're subject.
We have inalienable rights just by virtue of being human. And so their primary responsibility as the government is to protect those rights.
These aren't rules to govern me, they're rules to govern the government. Like what you are and are not allowed to do to me.
We are constitutional republic with representative democracy, so people do vote, but we have a separation of powers. So if you majority vote to eat you for lunch, the Supreme Court can say, no, you cannot.
Did you hear what she said? We are a constitutional republic, and they were talking about our constitutional rights protect us from a government that gets too big, a tyrannical government. Why do you think Australia, the UK, Canada, certain cities, democracy, has the strictest gun laws, gun control? The Second Amendment isn't what some people might think. Some people out there, these brainwashed sheeple, seemingly think that these 2A supporters are just gun-toting hillbillies that just want to shoot up schools and all kinds of shit. No, our Second Amendment rights are to protect us, our right to bear arms against a tyrannical government when they try this total authoritarian, totalitarian, communist bullshit. We've surpassed that already. Yeah. This is why, if you fuck up in any way, shape, or form, your Second Amendment rights are the first to go. I should know. You want a medical marijuana card? Well then, how much is it worth to you? Because if you want a medical marijuana card because you don't want to be a slave to the pharmaceutical companies anymore, you don't get to own a gun because those stoners, oh my, they're evil and murderous. The only thing a stoner has ever murdered was a tin of brownies. This is bad, y'all. Do not give up your guns. Do you understand me? Don't do it. In Ohio, do you know that you have to sign, if you have an AR-15, you have to sign a piece of paper now for the government to come in and inspect those guns. And they can take them if there's any alterations done. Yep. My friends just had to sign, I had a couple of friends who've had to sign that paper. It's a new law. AR-15s. Oh boy, this is getting really shady, y'all. Real shady. This woman speaks, she's been through it. She's been through communism. It's not pretty. We don't want it here. We don't want socialism here. Socialism, communism, democracy, it's the same fucking thing. We are a constitutional republic, and the first thing that they're going to do is strip our constitutional rights away so that we can't be protected.
To eat you for lunch, the Supreme Court can say, no, you cannot.
And how do you protect the minority from the majority? You write down a set of rules on a piece of paper. You say, this we can do, that we cannot. At the top of the paper, you write the word Constitution. And then everyone agrees to follow the rules no matter what the temptation. And when you're finished, you've created a constitutional republic.
It was Thomas Jefferson who said, "The republic is the only form of government which is not eternally at open or secret war with the rights of mankind."
Boy, have things changed since then.
Now, we hear a lot of talk today about right-wingers, left-wingers, extremists, and moderates. The political spectrum concept, if it has any meaning at all, is a measurement scale showing all the variations in government. Now, the extremists at the zero end would be those who advocate no government at all, the anarchists. The extremists at the other end would be those who advocate total government. And who are they? Well, the communists, of course. But also the Nazis, the fascists. No matter what they may call themselves, if they advocate total government control over the people, they are all, by definition, totalitarians. The debate is not between conservatives and liberals. It goes back in history long before those words were ever invented. The opposing points of view properly are identified as individualism versus collectivism. The individualist believes that the rights of the individual must not be obliterated by the desires of the collective or the group. The collectivist, on the other hand, believes that the group is more important than the single person within it, and that the individual must be sacrificed if necessary for the greater good of the greater number. The individualists believe that every man has a personal and direct responsibility to provide first for himself, next for his family, and then for those outside his family who may be in need. The collectivist, on the other hand, declares that the individual is not personally responsible for charity, for raising his own children, providing for his aging parents, or even providing for himself, for that matter. This is a group function of the state, of government itself.
Everything we talk about, socialism, communism, globalism, and Nazism, guess what? It's all collective society.
Collectivism on an international level is essentially known as globalism, which is often promoted as a framework for unity and sustainability. Under the guise of philanthropy, the leaders of the globalist movement leverage every possible crisis to advance their plan to replace national sovereignty with a one-world government.
We are confronted with so many crises simultaneously. What does it need to master the future?
It is the globalists who are behind the destructive new methods of control, like ESG.
Now, these are the companies, you guys, the ESG, the social credit score companies. A lot of these left-wingers will tell you that's a conspiracy. It doesn't happen. It happens. It happens here. Bud Light. Look at what happened to Bud Light. They bring in Dylan Mulvaney, silly dilly, right? A trans woman. You still got your dick. You're a fucking dude. You have XY chromosomes. And if you don't say he's a woman, oh my, you are a fascist. You're a Nazi. You're a bigot. You're a transphobe. He is a fucking tool for these globalists. That is why he has how many sponsorship deals? Kate Spade, Crest, tampons, all kinds of them. Because these companies have a social credit score that they have to abide by. And if they don't, you know who has a major stake in these social credit score companies? George fucking Soros. Follow the money, y'all. So if you are not woke enough, that's why Bud Light put him on a can to celebrate his 365 days as being a woman. Bitch, you're only a woman if you are born a woman. If you in utero have XX chromosomes, that's the only time you're a woman. Stop it. So if you don't roll with that, then, well, you don't hire somebody like, Dylan Mullet, because at first you better make sure you're hiring LGBTQ people. You better make sure you're hiring gays and lesbians and trans people. You better make sure that you are not discriminating against them, but then it's never enough. In order for these ESG companies to not terrorize you, now you got to put one of them on a can. And if you don't back them up like Bud Light didn't do, Bud Light went radio silent after the Dylan Mulvaney debacle. You know what happened? Their social credit score tanked. What do you have a surprise for me?
Yep. Prime for me.
Ew. Prime. Lovely. Ma, you should have bought him that. Anyways. I swear I got that one. Okay, good. No sugar, no energy. Good. Good, because you can't have energy drinks. You're 5. Yeah. Anyways, these social credit score companies, Bud Light, when they went radio silent, their social credit score tanked. Their woke credit score. This is why I'm anti-woke. What do you define? Define woke. Define woke. Define woke. I am. Open your fucking ears. Take the cotton out your ears and put it in your mouth for a second. I'm telling you what woke is. Never enough. It's never enough. Because Bud Light did that, guess what? Their social credit score tanked. Now, investors, stock has plummeted. Investors are not showing up, and people are protesting their Bud Light products. They're never coming back from this. Do you understand me? Never. This is dangerous business. And the globalists are the ones who have major stake in ESU companies. World domination. That is their end goal. That is enough. When everybody cooperates with any and every agenda they put out. Men can have babies. This, that. No, they can't. And it's people like me that get labeled as hateful and a bigot because I will not bow down to this bull crap. Get used to it. Go look at somebody else then, because it ain't going to be me. This ESU, fuck your social credit score. Fuck it. Do you think I care? No, I don't. I care about me and mines. I don't give a shit about how my social credit score is. Fuck you. I'll take every penny out of my bank and I'll put it in a fucking shoebox, bitch. We cannot allow our governments to reign total control over us. This totalitarianism shit, no good. No bueno. No. 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 Dylan Mulvaney, you're a fucking man. You're a fucking man. Sue me. Put me in jail. I don't give a fuck.
The acronym for Environmental Social Governance. Similar to China's social credit score, ESG is a ranking system that tracks a company or country's carbon footprint, as well as its commitment to diversity and inclusion. A low ESG score can lead to severe consequences, including reputational damage, legal and regulatory actions, and loss of investors and bank credit lines.
Hey, BlackRock!
Within the last decade, numerous nations and thousands of major brands have been coerced to adapt to the ESG program, and today, many of them are paying the price.
How's that working out for you, YouTube? How is it working out for you? Well, every fucking content creator that speaks out against this gets community guideline strikes. Not okay. Stand up. Stand up. Strengthen numbers. We don't have to adapt to this. Nor will I.
In 2018, the World Economic Forum published an article on its website entitled, "How We Will Make Sri Lanka Rich by 2025. That article was removed once it became known that food prices in Sri Lanka had nearly doubled and that millions of their citizens were facing starvation.
Yeah.
Now, what caused this? Farmers protested and asked the government to work with them on slowly improving farming practices to be more environmentally friendly rather than implementing harsh bans. But the government was more interested in maintaining a high ESG score with its creditors like BlackRock. As a result, food production dropped drastically, with farmers expecting crop losses of 85%.
That's not just happening in Sri Lanka. That is happening here. Here. Ask any farmer, okay? Get them on the horn. Ask them how they're faring, because the United States is right in there and controlled by BlackRock. So the farmers used to get a certain percentage, right? That they, when they're farming, even if it's their land, their cows, all of their machinery, their plants, their stock, everything, they used to sell to the stores, right, the grocery stores, and they would get, let's say, 60-70%. Now, you see all these farms going broke here. You see China buying farmland all over this country. Why? Open your eyes, y'all. It's not just happening in Sri Lanka. This is happening every fucking where.
The country had to begin spending money on importing food when it was previously self-sufficient. Sri Lanka is a cautionary tale. What's happening there could be a foreshadowing of what's in store for us if we don't take heed and learn some lessons.
The Dutch government was one of the first to sign on to the ESG system. Dutch farmers pleaded that the rush to adapt to extreme new regulations would result in the destruction of the country's food supply. The Netherlands is the second largest agriculture exporter in the world, earning the title of the tiny country that feeds the world. A collapse of their system could trigger a global food crisis. Yet, the Netherlands Prime Minister continued to persecute Dutch farmers until they were forced to revolt.
Where do you find still such a prime minister in the world? You find it in the Netherlands, and it's Mark Rutte.
And remember, too, the Netherlands is the pilot program of the World Food Hubs, and the World Economic Forum has assigned to the Netherlands what they call this Global Secretariat, using, ironically, a communist term for it.
Klaus Schwab's golden pin-up boy, Prime Minister Mark Rutte, is busy fulfilling the agenda of the World Economic Forum's Great Reset by turfing farmers off their own land.
Perhaps the most important lesson I've learned in my years as Prime Minister of one of the world's most outward-looking trading countries is that
I'm going to sell out my own people for my payday. That's what you want to say. Go ahead, say it.
Most outward-looking trading countries is that national interests are often best served by international cooperation.
Schwab has sold this idea because they're up against the wall. Okay, you have all these governments that are basically broke. So what will happen is if they defaulted, then all the people have lost their pensions, they've counted on it, and they're going to be storming their palaces with pitchforks. Schwab has sold the idea that, well, we go towards Marxism and you can still retain power.
None of these net zero climate schemes work without massively disrupting or even destroying the lives of the little people.
If you think about what created wealthy people
middle class.
throughout the many years of our human history, it was the ownership of land. And you have governments right now that are looking to take ownership of real estate, and it's happening everywhere. And you have this movement of individuals kind of going like, hey, like people should never profit off of real estate. And unfortunately, that ideology is what the government is using to take control.
If we look at data from 2001 to 2015, there is a slow and steady trend towards more corporations owning single-family homes, apartments, office spaces, and less individuals actually owning real estate.
BlackRock, Vanguard, Blackstone amasses Blackstone. You see how they put that in there? Not BlackRock, Blackstone. Blackstone amasses $50 billion to buy homes during coming housing crash. They were offering people $50,000 over MLS, over the asking price, so that they could push away normal, everyday, middle-class people who just came into maybe an inheritance or something and wanted to buy a rental property. They bought it all up. This is why rent has skyrocketed. These globalists have literally destroyed every... Good luck buying a house now. Good luck. When you're going up with, let's say, a traditional or a conventional loan, and you have, let's say, you're going in there and you have this conventional loan, and you have 20% down, right? How are you gonna win that house when you have these multi-billion and trillion-dollar corporations coming in saying, here, $50,000 over asking price, all in cash? You're screwed. Can't do it. We are up against the wall here because we don't have that kind of money. And you know what? I'm grateful, because it's people like us that are the most humble and down to earth. Please wake up and see what's going on, you guys. I beg of you.
Blackstone Group actually recently raised a record of $50 billion to take homes from American families.
During the pandemic, when all people were ordered to lock down indoors, why did governments around the world make exceptions for mass protests? We've all heard the term fire sale. In this case, it's not a metaphor. When a community is damaged by protests, the value of local properties plummet. Investors then gobble up the devalued real estate for pennies on the dollar. In many cases, the leaders of the decimated communities receive kickbacks for allowing this transfer of wealth.
Big companies and investment firms swooping in and buying up some of the only affordable homes in your neighborhood.
The more you have individuals not own their own home, the more you have individuals not financially independent, creates more dependence on big financial corporations that profit off of mass people. So we are going towards a world where the people are owning nothing. I always say, like, if we don't own anything, well, who does?
Bill Gates, business magnate, software developer, philanthropist, nation's largest farmland owner,
and water
Gates
rights.
owns nearly 270,000.
It's a reinstitution of Marxism where, communism owned all the property.
In his Communist Manifesto, Karl Marx wrote, "The theory of communism may be summed up in a single sentence: abolition of private property."
Oh, shit.
Karl Marx was a German philosopher and social theorist who lived in the 1800s. He is the co-author of the Communist Manifesto, which has been referred to as the Bible of Communism. His theories of class conflict and dialectical materialism were instrumental in shaping socialist and communist movements worldwide. Joseph Stalin, Vladimir Lenin, Leon Trotsky, Mao Zedong, Che Guevara, Fidel Castro, Kim Jong-un, Hugo Chavez, Nicolas Maduro, and many other communist revolutionaries have cited Marxism as the foundation of their political ideologies. Marx rejected all concepts of God, as well as the traditional family. According to members of his own family, Marx was emotionally, verbally, and physically abusive. His wife, Jenny, was plagued by depression, which was compounded by Karl's adulterous impulses and his inability to provide for his children. Despite his privileged upbringing and formal education, Karl Marx was often unwilling to work and instead relied on the financial support of friends and family.
What a guy to look up to, eh? Loser.
In 1943, the following directive was issued from party headquarters to all communists in the United States. It read, "When certain obstructionists become too irritating, label them as fascist or Nazi or anti-Semitic. In the public mind,
Xenophobe,
constantly
transphobe,
associate those who
homophobe.
oppose us with those names which already have a bad smell. The association will, after enough repetition, become fact in the public mind."
The founding fathers were racist, misogynist,
fascist political party, radicals on the far right,
Anti-Semitic,
xenophobic,
transphobic,
Uncle Tom's white supremacist, domestic terrorist, neo-Nazi organizer,
Nazis.
You are an anti-vaxxer.
Anti-vaxxers.
racist.
Name-calling is their #1 bullying tactic, and they apply it unremittingly to anyone who questions their dogma or says something they find unacceptable or offensive.
As early as 1928, the communists declared that the racial differences among our people constituted the weakest and most vulnerable point in our social fabric. By constantly probing and straining at this one spot, they calculated that eventually the cloth could be torn apart and that Americans could be divided, weakened, and perhaps even set against each other in open combat. They said in no unmistakable terms that the Negro people, because of their social status and their predominant working class composition, offered greater revolutionary possibilities than any other cross-section of the population.
How do we get out of this mess? Revolution, nothing less. Revolution, nothing less. Revolution, nothing less. Revolution, nothing less. Revolution, nothing less.
The communists call not only for extensive chaos within the cities. The plan is for raging fires from one city to the next. The average American may say, soft and decadent, when he sees billows of black smoke rising from one horizon to the other, when at night the only light he has to see by is the flickering red from flames leaping into the sky, he'll become paralyzed with fear and panic and do nothing to interfere with the guerrilla bands as they strike at the community's power centers. To justify violence, they have to be able to claim that they're liberating people. And if people are to be liberated, then it's necessary to go through the motions, at least, of pretending that they have a right to form a nation of their own. The communists...
So, a nation of their own, does that sound familiar? Sovereign city, ring a bell? Where there's no laws whatsoever, no police, defund the police. We have to do this to liberate people. We have to get rid of law and order. I'm sorry, but when I see cop cars on fire, I don't get fearful. I get pissed. I get mad. I don't know, y'all. This is bad. I know I've said that a lot during this movie, but this is really bad. A dystopian, anti-police community is not good. We need law. We need order. Imagine if we didn't have law and order. Imagine if murder was legal. Yeah. I can't even. Again, the governor of California lowering the age of consent for sodomy, taking children away from their parents if they don't affirm or allow their children to make the lifelong decision to take these puberty blockers, take your child from you. Small business owners, fuck you. I'm going to make sure that I don't prosecute. We will not prosecute if somebody steals everything in your little shop. Security guards, if you shoot somebody in self-defense who is robbing you, we will arrest you. And then they want this mother effer to run America? Like he's already ran California into the fucking abyss? No. And Joe Biden is right along here with these WEF. Bill Clinton, Barack Obama. Nuh-uh.
Party called for their liberation, to break away from the United States and to set up their own nation within our borders.
Activists now control a barricaded
state
area.
of George
It's been called an
Floyd.
autonomous zone.
They want it to be free of capitalism, state authority, and police.
To take the United States all of the United States, it'll be necessary, they say, to involve white people as well as black, and in general, to escalate their revolution in America from race war to class war.
Feed the rich and feed the poor. This is class war.
Now, when they talk about pressure from above, they mean using their people and their influence within the very government marked for takeover to bring forward official recommendations for legislation. The recommendations, of course, are offered supposedly as solutions to national problems, but when passed into law, their only real effect is to vastly increase the power of government and to move the country that much closer toward the ultimate goal. The pressure from below, then, involves using their influence over the various mass membership organizations of the country to create the appearance of great popular support for these recommendations. Of course, the members of those organizations must never suspect that they're being used to promote the communist program. Now, the silent majority, the average person, is caught right in the middle.
I told y'all. Oh, they're just kneeling for racial oppression. They're puppets for communism. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Now, I don't feel bad at all. I did, because y'all were saying, well, not you guys, but so many people. Oh, he's kneeling for racial injustices and inequality. No, the fuck he isn't. He's part of that globalist plan. Dumb dummies? Who's the dumb dummies now? I can't believe that American sports teams, businesses all over, to this day, separate by race. BLM, the only organization to defraud people out of nearly $100 million, do nothing for the black communities at all, but destroy them so that these globalists could come in and buy up all of the homes and drive up all the prices and screw us middle classers. Doesn't matter if you're white or black, you're fucked. I can't believe that this is allowed. I knew Black Lives Matter was a fucking sham from day one. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. When they raised all that money off the backs of dead black folks and did nothing but enrich white neighborhoods. Laurel Canyon? Where else? Where else did they buy 6 lavish mansions at? Didn't help the black community at all, but drove a wedge in between people and are still free. They are being absolved, right? They're no more. They're still taking donations to this day. They pushed Marxism and destroy the nuclear families, be a slave to the government. No. They push abortion. They're bad. I knew it from day one. Well, actually, I was fooled for like a week. I'm sorry. I gotta correct myself there. I was like, oh, this is a good grassroots organization. And then I woke up and saw what the fuck they were doing. They destroyed how many cities for these globalists to come in? That shocked me. I was like, holy shit, they're right. This is a great documentary. It really is. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. By hating others, we fall right into the trap. Goodwill, working people together. Our true power lies. True power because our numbers are in the billions and this regime is only in the thousands. Perfectly said. This is where black and white has to stop allowing the mainstream media and these politicians to divide and these globalists to divide us. We need to wake up, see the strides that we have made since 1865, see what a beautiful country that we have and that we can live harmoniously. We can. We should be. Why are we not judging people off of the character? Because that's not the Marxist way. The Marxist way says you have to judge people based off of their race, their sexual orientation, their social status. That is Marxism, and I ain't playing a part in it. I can't believe we got to wake up, y'all. You got to look, any left winger, any right winger, send this to them. Most of them are too far gone, though, to realize what they have been sucked into. They'll be the first to tell you to read a book or go get a college degree, but really, I'm glad as fuck I didn't. Very smart.
He looks above and sees highly respected spokesmen for government calling for socialist legislation. He looks below and sees mobs of demonstrators shouting for the same thing. He says to himself, has everyone gone crazy or is it me? Now, he's still in the majority, of course, but he doesn't know it. He thinks he's helplessly outnumbered, and he bows to what he thinks is the democratic will of the majority.
Disband the police. F you.
Here's an interesting thing I've noticed is even with a lot of these.
Damn, this poll says 62 Americans have political views they're too afraid to share. I want you to go through a Starbucks and put Fox News, even though Fox News is just a part of the big machine. Put on Tucker Carlson or something. Go through Starbucks and see the looks that you get. I've been too afraid to do that. I can admit it. Look what happened to Adam Francisco when the Biden supporter was like, we have a Trumper in front of us. They've made it this way, but don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I'm voting for Trump, bitches. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I don't want these globalist, fascist, Marxist, totalitarian assholes to run things anymore. These communists. No, I'll vote for Trump. Fuck it. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I'm going to be a free thinker. Oh, fucking well. I'm voting for Donald Trump. Kiss my jolly white ass. Okay? Okay.
Here's an interesting thing I've noticed is even with a lot of these ideologies, right, with what people call these days, woke.
I love Zoomy.
People were these horrible, awful, bigoted, racist, xenophobic, white, but like, it wouldn't even work. The only reason it even works is because people are so compassionate that I want to make sure I use the right words and I say the right phrases. So you're actually weaponizing the fact that people are decent people, and you're taking that compassion and you're targeting it at, this is the group of people who you should be angry at. They weaponized human compassion.
Yeah, they did. Big time.
We mustn't kid ourselves into thinking that the communists have placed their agitators only into the black communities. They're working both sides of the street. They want hatred, violence, and bloodshed between the races, and they don't care how they get it or whom they use, even children if necessary.
My young comrades. Hi. This is my way of figuring out if you've been tainted by the patriarchy.
Patriarchy? Oh! This looks creepy.
It looks creepy. Why?
There's just like this thing about white people that just makes me be like...
Oh, looks like Donnie got a full cookie.
Because he's a white man. Say it with me. Structural racism. Yeah!
You may have wondered why the Communist Party has been a staunch supporter of the drive to place a black studies curriculum into our high schools and colleges. The reason becomes obvious the minute you take a look at the textbooks and the study guides.
Schools are now radicalizing our kids. I mean, this is the volume of the book from Critical Race Theory, and it literally says here, whiteness is a bad deal, and it has a symbol of Satan.
You gonna deliberately teach kids this white kid right here got it better than you because he white? You gonna personally tell a white kid, oh, the black people are all down and suppressed? How do I have two medical degrees if I'm sitting here oppressed?
Not only is it in the schools, but it's in the workplace. It's throughout society. It's destroying this country.
Say that again, Mama. Say it again. CRT was a graduate student. It was a graduate student program, right? It was a subject. It was critical race theory. This was not meant for children. In fact, I don't think it was meant for anybody. I think it's a tool of the Communist Party, the Marxist Party, to divide people and tell people that they're systematically oppressed when you're not. You're not oppressed. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't because of the color of your skin, because they're fucking lying to you. They're lying to you. The LeBron James, you're oppressed. You get $100 million a day or I'm sorry, $1 million a day. That don't look oppressed to me. Oprah Winfrey, the richest black woman in the fucking world. You're telling these little black kids that they have to work 2 times harder than white kids? What? Why? No, they don't. And when the Supreme Court just ruled against affirmative action, that was a step in the right direction. We can't tell these kids that, you were let in because of your race, not your merit. That completely destroys somebody's will. So I'm grateful that these people are speaking up. Zuby and this lady here, man, she's right, though. It's in all of our schools, and we should not allow that. Our kids shouldn't see color. Mine don't. I don't bring that shit up. Don't feed into it. And if this starts going on at your schools, it is your duty as a parent to be at those school board meetings to see what the curriculum is. Shit, send your kid to school with a tape recorder if you got to see what they're teaching our kids. But if it's an educator, not an indoctrinator, telling you it's already there, why do we have our kids in public schools in the first place? Those little kids, those Chinese kids, that broke my heart. Not all white people are bad.
In the schools, but it's in the workplace, it's throughout society, is destroying this country.
If this continues, we will look back and be responsible for the dismantling of the greatest country in the world by reverting to teaching hate and that race is a determining factor on where your destiny lies. Thank you.
Beautifully said.
Sarasota School Board Chairwoman, what has been the worst of what you've had to deal with in terms of community or parental reaction?
The calling of names, tyrant, Marxist, communist, and they want to move kids over to charter schools and private schools without the oversight of the state. And that's wrong.
Education authorities.
Who the fuck are you to tell me where my kid can and cannot go to school at? Well, that's wrong. You don't like us indoctrinating your kids? Oh, well, you have to. And if you don't, and if you come to my school board and call me a communist or a Marxist, I will send the weaponized and politicized Biden's Department of Justice and his FBI to your fucking door. Try me, bitch. I've already had them at my door once before. Guess what? They ain't as scary as y'all think. Stand your ground. Stand your fucking ground. These are your kids. This is their future. We don't want them to grow up like in communism, hating somebody else because of this. What the fuck? Oh my. This bitch, I like a room. Just give me 5 minutes alone with her. Give me 5 minutes and
without the oversight of the state. And that's wrong.
Education authorities in the United States are asking the government to use anti-terror laws and involve the FBI against parents who protest against the way their children are being taught.
It identifies no fewer than 13 possible federal crimes, including making annoying phone calls. How about this one? They could be prosecuted for using the internet in a way that might cause emotional distress.
Over the weekend, Democrats voted to ban gendered language in House rules. And that means no more terms like father or mother.
Is the administration's official policy to replace the term woman with birthing people?
Black birthing people. Black birthing people. Black and indigenous birthing people.
You shifted in places from using the term mother to birthing people.
Again, if we're trying to be precise in the language that's used.
Mom's a pretty good word.
I'm not a birth person. I'm a mother. Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No.
Yeah.
I can't.
What do you mean you can't? Don't let your kids watch PBS neither, because they're on this communism bullshit. As soon as they got rid of Sesame Street, I knew it. I was like, oh, hell. Oscar the Grouch is now known as a houseless person. What the fuck out of here. I'm a woman. I'm a mother. And no matter what this crooked-ass communism, Marxist bullshit, what they're doing, you ain't taking that away from me. Birthing person, fuck you. can't define what a woman is.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a
the
biologist.
meaning of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
Do you believe then that men can become pregnant and have abortions?
No.
Yes.
Literally everything that was fought for women's rights is going straight down the drain.
This environment that has been created and corrupted
On
and
purpose.
manipulated does not respect women, does not respect children, does not respect men. It cares nothing for family. So that's why they have to attack mother and remove father, because she's going to protect that child, he's going to protect that woman, and they both are going to protect society.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you very much.
Love this guy.
When you talk about a parent-child relationship, you're talking about something primal that is in the heart of the liberal, not the Marxist, that's in the heart of the person who's conservative. And they're pushing the boundaries on something that they cannot control.
Washington State is on track to lawfully take gender dysphoric children away from parents who oppose transitioning treatment.
That is against the Constitution. The only time a parent loses their rights is if there's an extreme circumstance.
It's severing the bond between the parent and the child.
What they're doing is they're dividing families to take control of the children.
The biggest defense against communism is the nuclear family.
In Chapter 2 of his Communist Manifesto.
I like Gothics. I really do. I love her channel. The kryptonite, I'll just paraphrase what she said. The kryptonite of the communist regime is the nuclear family. The conservative nuclear family. Anybody want to get married real quick? Oh my. I like her. I'm just saying.
Dividing families to take control of the children.
The biggest defense against communism is the nuclear family.
In Chapter 2 of his Communist Manifesto, Karl Marx wrote, "Abolition of the family. The bourgeois family will vanish as a matter of course."
The bourgeois.
We're here today to represent the millions of Black Americans who disagree with the Black Lives Matter movement. If you go to Black Lives Matter website, it says that we disrupt the nuclear family. That's my wife. This is our 4 children.
Now, if you are a Black woman or a Black man, and if you speak out against a very openly Marxist organization such as BLM, you are called, I don't even like the word, it's a C word, it's a 4-letter word, there's 2 O's in the middle, and there's an N at the end. You're called an ocultam. You're called all of these horrific bootlicker, all of these terrible names. Because they don't want the nuclear family, because when they have the nuclear family, their shit don't work. They have anybody that... Listen, I'm not trying to push liberals to come conservative, but I kind of am right now. Because if we don't have these conservative morals and values, then guess what's going to happen? We are easily manipulated to adapt to their Marxism and their communist ways. Please get with the fucking program. And, you know, unfortunately, we have this 2-party system that we have to vote. Now, who's the lesser of the 2 evils here? Donald fucking Trump. I'm just saying, you guys, I can't do this communist shit. I won't do it. Don't let them destroy our very moral compass that is keeping this country afloat. Because if they win, that is total control over all of us. Do you see that they're banning free speech in Michigan? They've done it. Wretched Gretchen Whitmer just put a law. They just passed the law that if you purposefully don't call some confused kid by their pronouns, you could face prison time and a fine up to 10 grand. I'm pretty sure that is telling you F your constitutional right to free speech. No, it ain't gonna win. All of these politicians on the left are in on it.
Why would you disrupt the nuclear family?
Because the real objective is to remove the family as a possible alternate source of guidance and support. All totalitarian regimes strive to destroy the close-knit family in order to remove any loyalties that might be higher than to the state itself.
Not my family.
I have seen over the years in my practice a steady decline in the expression of healthy masculinity and healthy femininity. The separation between the male and the female is almost complete now, and it's due specifically to the ongoing attacks against masculinity and the degradation of femininity. And if our family structure is lost in the next generation, what do we have left? We're just a bunch of listless individuals living our lives out virtually behind a computer screen and following the orders of the government.
Maybe it's because I came in the movement at 17 and a half, so I have like just a knack for knowing how to organize young people.
This bitch should be in prison. I don't care. Look at this. Millionaire BLM founder Patrisse Cullors admits that she is a Marxist, says she's proud of her comparisons to Mao. Wow. Do you not know he was responsible for 80 million people dying? So you might as well say that you are proud to be compared to someone like Adolf Hitler. Go ahead. Go right ahead. How she's not in prison is because she's got democratic protection.
I was at our publications table today, and I was speaking to this young person, and he grabbed a book, and he said, it's like Mao's Red Book. And I was like, man, that's what I was thinking. And it was just really cool to hear him make that connection. I was like, how about you buy like 10 to 15 of these books, and you all have like a youth organizing group where you talk about it, and you really try to engage this. We need to build off of this. We actually do have an ideological frame. Myself and Alicia in particular, we are trained Marxists.
Trained Marxists. You know what Jesse Lee Peterson says that these are? 3 black, fat, radicalized lesbians. That's per Jesse Lee Peterson. You know what? He ain't wrong. Man-hating lesbians. See, I think there's a balance, men and women, right? I love a masculine alpha male. That's nothing shy of beautiful. A beautiful feminine woman, absolutely gorgeous. We need men and women, and we can't be having these Marxist, man-hating lesbians trying to run things, because look what the fuck they did. Yeah, and they're not in prison. But if you or I were to scam people out of $90 million, we would be sitting in federal prison for the next 30 fucking years. Again, protected by the Democratic Party, who's also protected by the WEF.
I do believe in Marxism. It's a philosophy that I learned really early on in my organizing career.
Investigations into the Black Lives Matter organization has revealed links to groups that are pro-communist China.
Hold on a minute. Let me back things up. Let's look at Patrisse Cullors when she first started to Patrisse Cullors today. She's eating pretty good. All that steak and lobster that she got from you dumb dummies out there who donated to BLM for racial injustices and racial equality, and all of these poor scholars, these good scholars that were shooting at police, eating fentanyl. Look at Patrisse then. Let's look at Patrisse, what she looks like now. Damn! She got fat as fuck. My goodness. This is what happens when you put yourself and your people over everybody else. The only black life that matters to Patrisse is hers and her family's, nobody else. That is why she didn't help not one black community.
Organizing career.
Investigations into the Black Lives Matter organization has revealed links to groups that are pro-communist China.
The self-proclaimed Marxist Black Lives Matter co-founder Alicia Garza also owns the Black Futures Lab project. Yet all would be lost for the Black Future Lab if not for the Chinese Progressive Association. Donations to the Black Futures Lab don't go directly to the foundation itself. The Chinese Progressive Association gets them instead.
Oh!
Through forensic investigations, we now know that the 2020 BLM fiery but mostly peaceful protests were organized and partially funded through a network of pro-communist organizations. One of the groups is U.S.-based Liberation Road, which was founded by a faction of the Communist Party of Vietnam. Liberation Road is allied with the new communist movement and has direct ties to the Chinese Communist Party. The San Francisco-based, communist-rooted Chinese Progressive Association formed a sister company called Asians for Black Lives to serve as a bridge between BLM and the Chinese Communist Party.
Oh! Now you see why Patrice and neither one of the other three, the two other three ladies are not in prison for literally bilking people and fooling people into buying their Mercedes, their Maseratis, their mansions, their Louis Vuittons, their security, paying trans escorts. Do you now see the correlation between that? Yeah, because they're paying off and they're funded with the Chinese Communist Party. They're protected. This is why haven't we seen BLM get arrested? Nobody from the BLM mostly peaceful riots that 30 people have died, nobody was arrested. Well, if they were just bailed out by the Minnesota Freedom Fund that Kamala Harris supports openly on her Facebook, which is still there to this fucking day. And it's also on her Twitter page to this very day. Go Google it. You can see it on her Facebook and her Twitter. Bailed out all of the mostly peaceful protesters. Mostly peaceful my ass. This is why Kyle Rittenhouse was looked at like he was the second coming of Satan. He took out some chomos. I ain't mad at him. Oh my God. This is bad, y'all. This is bad.
I spent a lot of time with President Xi.
Sure you
He's
did.
deadly earnest about becoming the most significant, consequential nation in the world.
Evil.
When we speak of China, it's important to distinguish between the people and their oppressive government. And while the Communist Party of China is undoubtedly America's greatest foreign adversary, it's crucial to recognize that the most urgent threat to the future of the United States resides within its own borders.
We're so used to thinking in terms of the old-fashioned concepts of warfare, we fail to realize that the favorite weapons of communist conquest are instead propaganda.
Do you know who the greatest propagator of disinformation in the history of the world is? The U.S. government.
The slanted view of history.
History has been written to tell us a certain story. The 1619 Project is trying to reframe that story.
What these people are doing is subverting young black minds to think that the Revolutionary War was fought in order to preserve slavery. And it's based on something that simply isn't true.
The tactics of internal subversion.
I thought that America was racist. I thought it was patriarchal. I thought our capitalist society was just a means of exploiting people. And I thought all of these things because that is what I was told.
The preaching of hatred to incite civil disorder.
I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
A California man is facing federal charges for the attempted murder of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh.
Treason, blackmail, the smear.
This is the first time Assange is being questioned over the rape allegations.
The LA Times ran an article calling Larry Elder a black white supremacist.
Yeah.
All committed by soldiers who wear no uniform and who claim to be loyal citizens of the target country marked for conquest from within.
How about that? Larry Elder, the black face of America white supremacy. Shut up. Just shut up. That's so disrespectful. That is so disrespectful. Disgusting. These pigs, man. Chuck Schumer. You know, they all got little horns peeping out, man. I'm sorry, you guys. I am so ashamed that I used to vote Democrat. I'm so ashamed. I will never vote Democrat again. No, I don't care. I don't care if you got an AK up to my head. Pull the fucking trigger. I'll never vote for them again.
World War III that rages around us right now is a political war,
yes,
an economic war, a psychological war, a spiritual war. As a matter of fact,
and it's
the
here
bomb as a psychological weapon is
right
being
now.
dropped on the American people every single day.
You probably assume you're safe. That could be a deadly mistake.
Bracing for food shortages.
And labor shortages. Shipping delays. Supply chain disruption.
A new coronavirus variant.
The worst virus variant. Ultra transmissible. It can kill you. It can kill you.
A surge in crime.
A surge in crime. Acts of terrorism.
Domestic terrorism.
White terrorism.
White supremacy.
Mass shootings. And nuclear conflict.
World War III.
World War III.
Vladimir
Putin.
Russia. Environmental doom.
Fires, storms, deadly floods.
I don't want you to be hopeful.
Science tells us we have 9 years.
This storm will kill you.
I want you to panic.
It is promoting fear. It will kill your children.
Feelings of fear.
It will kill your pets.
The world is a very terrifying place.
Unless you get lucky.
I want you to feel the fear I feel every day.
That chick's a fucking robot. She's a robot. I'm convinced. Greta Thunberg, you are a robot. Yeah. I guarantee you she's some cog or something. That's just wrong. Propaganda. Don't watch propaganda. Don't watch CNN. Turn it off. Don't watch MSNBC. Turn it off. Don't watch Fox News. Turn it off. Please. Don't believe anything. Don't even believe your local weatherman. Look on your phone yourself. What really sucks here is that we have given them everything and anything. And if you talk about going up against these people, you are labeled as an extremist. You are labeled as violent. You are labeled as, even if you're black, they say you are white supremacist. White supremacy is not the leading problem in this country. Sorry to break the news to you. This shit is. And you know what else is, you guys? China. I specifically recall them saying, we will destroy America from within its borders. And look what the fuck is happening. Now you see why they want Donald Trump in prison? Now do you see why? I do. I see it.
Fine place.
Unless you get lucky.
I want you to feel the fear I feel every day.
I'll punch a half-retarded girl. I don't care. Fuck it.
Walk me through, if you would, what happens scientifically
How
inside our
dare
minds
you?
when we're in a state of fear, and then how that affects our external choices and the direction of our lives.
This is well known and well researched in the psychological literature and the psychiatric literature, that when someone is afraid, when someone is in a state of fear, that person cannot think rational.
You're all right.
You resort back to a more primitive way of making decisions, which is highly emotionally driven. And when you're placed in a chronic state of fear, as we have been, you end up in a, what I would call a traumatized state, meaning that you're not just momentarily scared, you are frozen. You have seen your ability to think critically suspended.
The issue is not about COVID or vaccines or anything else. It's not that.
Control.
That is the polarizing impulse that gives rise to our general sense of ill at ease, which then amplifies our willingness to fall for reflexive classifications like race or, the isms that we want to fight about. The more we can distract people by creating the illusion that says everything is fearful, the more we can manipulate the population.
Control it.
We were groomed for decades to be fearful, whether it was drop and cover.
We must be ready
Y2K.
all the time if the atomic bomb explodes. Duck and cover.
To protect against the threat of nuclear annihilation, or more recently, the impending ecological collapse of our planet in 12 years that AOC and Greta Thunberg keep warning us about.
The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change.
How dare you? Shut the fuck up. Can I please? See, this is one time where I want to go radical liberal and be like, I just want to live in lawlessness. So I could just beat the shit out of these two. Just, like how your aunt would always come down the stairs. If you don't quiet down with that racket, I'm gonna crack some skulls. I would like to take Greta by that fucking braid of its, and AOC by that big booty Latina, and just like a damn symbol at the end of a score, a beautiful ghost love score, and they're stupid. Look at what just happened. Banning gas stoves. While they run around, and this one flies around in private jets, that one is driven around by a fucking Suburban. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. The world's gonna end. Climate control. Dude, we're getting closer to the sun. That's just how it is. This is global crisis bullshit, man. Liars. Liars. They're lying. They're lying to us. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up, robot. Should fucking have retarded girl.
How dare you?
All of these fears.
Dare you? I gotta do that one again. Thank you, Krista. The world's gonna end in 12 years if we don't believe in the climate crisis. How dare you? I'm gonna get that tattooed on me.
And in 12 years if we don't address climate change.
How dare you?
All of these fears are grounded to some degree in reality. They're not completely invented, but they are exaggerated so greatly that we cannot actually reason through them anymore.
When people are afraid, they won't just accept authoritarianism, they'll demand it.
Yep.
They will demand it. Somebody do something. Somebody take charge and tell me what to do. Like, where do I stand? Where do I walk? What do we do? What are the rules? And again, people in power always use that, right? Where they say, never let a good crisis go to waste. We can take this and we can now enact policies that normally we wouldn't be able to get away with.
Yeah. Maybe in a couple of decades, when people look back, the thing they will remember from the COVID crisis, this was the moment that we agreed to be surveyed all the time.
And maybe even after the event is over, maybe we can still keep 30%. And over time, multiple crises, suddenly you have a government or an individual who has far more power than they're actually supposed to.
The leaders of the mass, the people who pronounce a narrative in public space, usually are hypnotized themselves. They believe they need to reshape society to be able to deal with the challenges society faces. And they believe so fanatically in that ideology that they think it's justified to manipulate and cheat and to use all kinds of narratives to convince people to go along with that ideology.
We're going to go visit mom. I'm going to bring the home family to see mom. No.
We will shut you down. We will cite you. And if we need to, we will arrest you and we will take you to jail.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. I don't know what just came over me. You're going to worry about a block party or a barbecue or maybe family that hasn't seen each other in a fucking year. Mama and Pop has died alone in the old folks' home because we weren't allowed. Uncle Jerry's dead because he was in ICU in a fucking bubble. And you're worried about that, but what about the people in your own city killing one another with that massive gun control that you have one of the most deadliest cities in the country still, Beetlejuice. And then the cheers and the hoorays. Lori Lightfoot is gone. Ding dong, the witch is dead, the wicked witch. In comes Brandon Johnson. Worse than it is. Look at the state of Chicago today. But we're a sanctuary city. Bring the migrants here. The aliens, migrants, whatever the fuck you want to call them. Aliens. Bring them here. Wait a minute. We didn't mean that. Why are you bringing them here? Now, all of these people that reside in Chicago are like, where's the fucking funding for us? Where's our free handouts? No, you can't give these. Well, now they're aliens again. Can't give these illegal aliens our funding, our food stamps, our welfare, because we're the slaves to the state of the Democratic Party. What do you mean? Why are you giving these illegal aliens our money? We don't want them here. Get them out. Didn't you call Arizona and Texas racist because they were? Well, thank Joe Biden for the open border. But you keep voting for people like this, so you vote for? You get what you vote for.
You either get your tests done and make sure you're cleared, or we will keep you in a facility longer.
It's going to be very hard.
What the fuck did she say? What'd you say? Teeth? What'd she say?
We'll arrest you and we will take you to jail.
You either get your tests done and make sure you're cleared, or we will keep you in a facility longer.
It's going to be very hard for people to do a lot of normal life unless they can prove their vaccination status.
Such as, you're not going to work in this particular agency or institution. You're not going to be able to go to this college or this university. Once we start doing that, you will see more and more people willingly get vaccinated.
Wow.
If the fear of losing your job, your friends, family, and future isn't enough to coerce you into submission, perhaps these incentives will entice you to willingly comply.
Yeah, you can travel. You can go on an airplane. All you got to do is have this passport. Now it's called a vaccine passport. Yeah, you're free to move about the cabin. If you don't want to wear that mask, well, you better get the jab. Only unvaccinated or vaccinated people can not have to wear this face diaper that's smothering them. To see the people that are wearing masks today in their cars, I'm going, yep, there's a Biden voter. We've lost this one, Charlie. Look at this. Incentives for getting the vax. I got one. Either you can not meet James Schaefer from Korn in West Hollywood and hang out with him, or you stay unvaccinated and not meet him. I got fooled.
It's everything from cash prizes to college scholarships.
Now offering kids 12 and up limited edition Avengers comic books.
Thousands of prizes available,
Including cruises and Super Bowl tickets.
They're giving away Ford F-150 trucks. They're giving away shotguns and hunting rifles.
Marijuana dispensaries are giving away
Joints for Jack. Krispy Kreme announcing this week a free donut. And yes, free beers.
That's right. Get a shot and have a beer.
Today could be your lucky day.
California's vaccine lottery.
One grand winner to take home
Up to $5 million.
Yeah, whoever won that. I don't think anybody won that $5 million. I think Ohio offered that as well. Wait, what happened to the COVID lottery? Nobody won it. It was a lie.
If you get vaccinated next week.
They made it exciting, right? There's a reason people go to Vegas.
It really could be somewhat lucrative if they aren't already persuaded.
13-year-old Joshua says one of the best parts of getting a shot at Mickey D's, lunch on the house.
Just think of this when you think of vaccination. Vaccination.
If you need luck with love, dating apps are offering incentives too.
Vienna Brothel is providing COVID-19 vaccinations and giving those who take up the offer a 30-minute session with a, quote, lady of their choice.
We have finally found the one thing that makes us all more attractive, a vaccination.
To love one another, as Jesus said, get vaccinated, get boosted.
No.
Do you think that it's being posed as politics, but it's behaving like a religion?
Because it's acting like a religion.
Yeah.
It's dogmatic. It's absolute. It's, if you do not believe in it, you are condemned to hell.
Tim Robbins.
This is a new religion.
Tim Robbins. Russell Brand.
God did answer our prayers. He made the smartest men and women, the scientists, the doctors, the researchers. He made them come up with a vaccine.
I just wanted lightning to strike at that moment. Why did I do that? I'm not perfect. I'm sorry. What do you fucking want from me? What do you want from me? I'm a work in progress. I did. I literally wanted that woman to burst into flames. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just very angry. I'm very angry. They called Tim Robbins and all of these people that were anti this. I don't even know if I can still say it. Anti-vax. They were like, y'all crazy. You're bad, you're extremist, you're murderous. Yeah.
scientists, the doctors, the researchers. He made them come up with a vaccine. That is from God to us. And we must.
They put it on Christ the Redeemer.
Thank you.
What the fuck? Why'd you do that? How dare you? Uh-huh. The state takes place of God. That's why they don't want you to worship Jesus. Don't worry, homie, you're cool. I got you.
There was a time, and not too long ago, I think, when we could have pulled ourselves out of this without too great a sacrifice on the part of anyone. But we didn't. Instead, we slept. Everywhere I look, I see men and women who know that communists are making headway in this country. They know that something must be done and that someone must stand up to them. But they themselves do nothing. They remain silent because they're afraid that if they speak out, it'll be bad for business.
I don't care!
They may lose a client. They may even lose their jobs. Or perhaps they're receiving a regular government check and already are too dependent upon some of the very people and programs they know they should oppose. We have now passed the point of painless solutions and parlor patriotism. Well, all right, so what do we do about it?
Yes.
What are the countermeasures that need to be taken? And where do we begin? Before we finally win this battle,
nuclear family.
and I should hasten to say that there's no doubt in my mind that we're going to win. I'm increasingly convinced of this. But before we finally do see victory, we must carry the truth to every man, woman, and child in America.
I got y'all.
I have no idea of what each of you is going to do in the critical days that lie ahead. It may be much, it may be little, it may be nothing at all. I don't know. Only you can answer that question. But ladies and gentlemen, whatever it is you decide to do for your country, do it soon. Do it now. Every minute that you delay further will add dearly to the price of ultimate victory.
He aged very well.
Mr. Griffin, that was over 50 years ago. Where are we now?
Hearing that phrase after all these years is kind of a shocker because I didn't realize really at the time how accurate it was going to be. But we're in the middle of it now, and so the ultimate victory is still ahead of us.
How did you know way back then what would be happening today?
It's a long story, of course, but I did take a fascinating tour of the Communist Bookstore in Los Angeles when I was very, very young. I was working for an insurance company. I was Mr. Corporate America, you know. That was the period when the hippie, you know, image was pretty popular, and a lot of these guys in that bookstore were in that uniform. And I think they felt I was a potential recruit, you know.
Yes, we've always been quite willing to talk about
We'll talk about socialism anywhere, in the streets or in the Senate, anywhere, you know.
They're a communist faction making a big power play for SDS.
Is there any communists back here?
I guess there is.
Yes, they are communists, and yet our nation seems unconcerned. Many newspapers, television commentators, and educators call these young revolutionaries dissidents. But are these voices voices of mere dissent, of mere student unrest, or of sedition and revolution?
They invited me to come to their study groups, they called them. They were
yeah.
The recruiting funnel, you know.
Come here to get radicalized. We're meeting at 7 p.m. We'll have some chocolate chip cookies. Why don't they ever want to leave here and go to a communist country themselves? Like, what? No, because they would rather tell all of their friends and gain more followers for this regime. They like to indoctrinate, make more people sheep, I guess. Misery loves company. Fuck is wrong? I don't want communism. No, thank you. I'll come for your cookies, though.
I didn't have to pretend to be interested because I was interested. I wanted to see what these guys were up to. And of course, the more I read, the more I realized that these guys were deadly serious. And so my crusader gene said, hey, buddy, you better stop worrying about the corporate ladder and making money and looking good and start doing something about it. And I'm glad I did, because after that point, my life had a meaning. It had a purpose more than just self-centered.
Who are some of the key figures behind this agenda?
I'm not sure we can name names. We know that there are layers and layers of control and influence, sort of pyramidal in form.
Boy.
At the bottom level, of course, it's just all the common people. Most of them don't even know what's going on. It used to be that an invader could come in with a superior army, and people resent it, but they obey because if they don't, they get killed.
And again, if you're for Ukraine, if you stand with Ukraine, you have been fooled. You're right in there with them. Yeah, just saying. You support Antifa, Black Lives Matter. If you support the war in Ukraine, you have been indoctrinated. I'm woke, though. No, you're asleep. You're dead asleep. You have been, well, you might be awake figuratively, literally, but you are, and you have been manipulated. I don't stand with Ukraine. No. I don't stand with none of them. Fuck you.
Now, if they want to conquer people in this environment, they have to do it through the mind. And of course, today, after all the technology that we have, and the control over the communications and the images and the school system and the media, they have absolute control over the funnel of information that comes to the average person. And the average person, if they're not aware that there's a real war going on for their mind, they will be helpless. And as long as people are on the edge of fear, they're willing to give up their liberties and pay lots and lots in taxes.
A tax on carbon.
And as I passed through that idea that, in my view, the enemy is in a category called collectivism. And that's the word that applies to all of these things: socialism, communism, fascism, Nazism. All of these things are merely variants of collectivism. That is the philosophy based on the assumption that the group is more important than the individual, and that the individual must be sacrificed if necessary for the greater good of the greater number. That's the trick. You're doing this for society.
Obviously, you don't like to tell people what to do, but sometimes for the good of society, that's necessary.
We have to start doing things for the greater good of society, and not for idiots who think that they can do their own research.
But it's not about me and my rights to choose. It's about how I love my neighbor.
You are not doing this for yourself. If you are at all like me, your own health, your own risk is not a big rational driver of all of your actions.
They trick us into thinking that if you act in your own self-interest, that somehow you are selfish. And nothing could be further from the truth. Those of us who've discovered this trick long ago, we realize that enlightened self-interest comes into play. If you are acting out of self-interest, you soon discover that the best way to benefit yourself is to help other people. It does come back.
The question is, how do we turn the ship around?
Yes, how do we? Rachel Maddow, I'm so grateful that I am absolutely nothing like you. Yeah, she's just a big old propaganda pusher. Yeah, and when somebody called her out on it, her sheep literally were booing this person that was calling her out for pushing propaganda and dividing people. There's these people that when you see somebody being ripped away and kicked out of an event or arrested for speaking their voice, then their followers are clapping and cheering. Yay, the oppressor is here and they're getting arrested. It's sad to see. Yeah, I'm nothing like you, Rachel, and I'm proud of it. Let's see what we do. What do we do?
The path to political hell in America has been voting for the lesser of two evils. They create conflict because conflict creates fear and confusion, and out of that chaos, people are not too analytical. They'll just struggle for some quick answer, which is who you're going to vote for. That's usually
the
Yeah.
answer that's offered to them.
Trump!
They think that
Fuck you.
if you just vote for somebody, the right person, everything will go away.
That's the only person
You
I can vote
cannot
for.
wait until there's a list of candidates that's published and you say, which one am I going to choose? You know, by that time the game is over. All those candidates have been selected before you were even aware. You've got to get into politics at the local level so you have some influence in which candidates are selected. And that starts at the grassroots level. You don't.
Y'all ready for me? I'm running. That's it. Oh boy, could you imagine that? I might. I don't know, you guys. I might do it. We'll
Influence
see.
in which candidates are selected. And that starts at the grassroots level. You don't come in at the top, you come in at the bottom. If we do that job, we will influence both political parties, just like our opponents do now.
There is actually a way forward and a way out, but it's going to require work, and it's also going to require that we acknowledge that we have wronged ourselves, that we are part of this problem. It's not the government that caused this. The government facilitated it. What caused it was
People
our
eating
being
it up.
asleep at the wheel.
Yep.
Without taking accountability, we cannot move forward.
The masses of humanity have been slapped awake in a very short period of time, to where now it has created a domino effect of awareness all across the planet. People cannot go back into the matrix now. They can't. A lot of people are trying to, and they can't.
Right.
We have the right as citizens in this country to abolish government and create a new one. And that is the authority that has been given to us. It is written in our documents, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution of the United States, the Declaration of Human Rights.
I like her.
We have indelible rights, and the basis of those rights are our freedoms. And if we don't have that, we don't have life. And so we have to awaken, we have to arise, we have to fight.
The natural rights of every individual is life, liberty, and property. And establishing a country on a premise that had never been established before, that the individual is sovereign because their rights are endowed to them by a sovereign God.
This which has happened can only be described as divine, which is why we're the nation. Our ideology, our way of life is always under this relentless attack that we have defeated over and over again, and we will defeat it this time.
We're all fighting with each other, and the way that we combat that is doing the opposite of what these war overlords want us to do, which is fight with each other. We should be
banding together and fighting them. We shouldn't be fighting amongst one another. We should be fighting beside one another. Been saying this for how fucking long? Apparently, this is glitching because they're like, too many truth bombs. Oh my God, truth here, truth there, truth everywhere. This guy that came on before Gothics, I'll rewind it just to see. I want to show you guys this man here. His name is Brian Echevarria, I believe his name is. Now, he's a father from the Carolinas, if I'm not mistaken. He went to a school board where his children, I think he called him his little almond-colored children, because I think he's in an interracial relationship. His wife is white, and his children are mixed race. And so he says that, how dare you tell my child that they are oppressed because of the color of their skin. He really did a really good presentation to that school board, and he basically schooled them, and he faced all sorts of backlash for that. I mean, more people stood up like, hey, good job, Dad. But from the left, he was called all kinds of really terrible names, like that C one that has the O's in the middle and the N at the end. He was called that. His babies were called all kinds of names. His wife was called all kinds of names. It was really tragic to see that this father, who's standing up for his children and fighting against this complete communist infiltrated education system, And how he was treated was terrible, but I'm glad to see that he's not afraid. This is what you have to do. You can't be afraid anymore. And if you were, it's okay. We're all human. It's very easy to fall into that whole fear-mongering thing, right? It's very easy to be manipulated when these big corporations like BlackRock, Vanguard, WEF, they control the narratives of what we hear and what we see. So it's very easy to be scared. But don't. Put that brave face on. Stand up tall. And fight against this. It's what we can do. Again, like Gothic says, we don't need to be fighting amongst each other. We need to be fighting beside one another. Because that is their worst enemy. That's their kryptonite.
Over again. And we will defeat it this time.
We're all fighting with each other, and the way that we combat that is doing the opposite of what these war overlords want us to do, which is fight with each other. We should be learning how to forgive and inviting other people to the table, even if we disagree with them, and extending grace to one another, even if we know that they've done something that we totally disagree with. Because that's how we ultimately are going to heal as a nation, is understanding that we all come from different walks of life, and we all live here together. And let's start talking.
The only real problem that's existed in the world, it's division. It's that people are not getting in rooms, willing to speak with one another, see each other's hearts, and get to know, hey, what do you believe? What do I believe? And is there a way we can actually work together to solve these problems? And I'm willing to bet that most of the Gen Zers would say yes. That's what we do right now. And that's why I'm glad we're the age that we are, because we can be leaders of that conversation.
Yes.
When I started to realize, like, wow, freedom's a polarizing concept for some reason. Thought this was America. Is this America? It is? Okay. World's different than I thought. So my fear was, I could lose everything. I could lose my audience. I could lose my business. But I knew, especially having a son come into the world, I am imprinting something on his beautiful, innocent, fragile psyche and heart. I'm imprinting the man that I am, or I'm imprinting a hollow shell of the man that I refuse to be. And I knew in that moment, I'm willing to risk losing everything to do that. I would rather pick up cans on the side of the highway to feed my family than to live out of alignment with my truth and betray my son.
Just say no. Rise up in a nonviolent way. They can't imprison everyone. They can't fire everyone.
That's true.
But they can fire individuals that are separated and don't work together and give in to the fear. And don't sacrifice your future for a few conveniences now in the present. You should sacrifice maybe the present conveniences so that you can have a future.
The media has done a good job at stripping from us our ability to think on our own and for ourselves. If we can get back to that, I think that we can build a stronger America.
In my opinion, the first step you have to take is you have to get out from under the control mechanisms. And that means blow up your TV, don't listen to the fear porn, and set yourself free
fear porn.
Of dead, which is what controls you and controls everything around you. It is the weapon that is used.
The most important thing is always that the dissonant voices continue to speak out, and, also extremely important, that they don't start to form a mass or a crowd themselves, because that happens very easily as well, happens very easily. Once a large-scale mass formation starts, the people who do not go along with them feel threatened, and they can start to form a mass themselves. So it's extremely important not to form a mass ourselves. That means to form a group, a coherent group, and that what unifies this group should in the first place be the fact that everybody who belongs to the group can have his own opinion and can speak in his own way.
What matters?
Put aside your differences. let people formulate their own opinions, right? But wake up and see that if we're not all in this together, we are in trouble. People are allowed, now I don't know why, they're allowed to support Joe Biden. I'm not going to, I'll pray for you, but again, people are allowed to have their own taste in music, their own politics. I think that we have polarized politics in such a way that if you are a Trump supporter, you are labeled as an extremist. I don't like how our leader came on here and said that every conservative is an extreme radical. It's really divisive, and people have to have healthy debate again. They have to be able to say, okay, let's agree to disagree and move on peacefully. Instead, people, if they find out you are a Trump supporter, you are as good as shit to them. And they use if you have a MAGA hat on, they're going to rip it off of you and physically assault you for it. That is how bad it's gotten. Yep, we need to stand up.
There's most to you.
Sorry about the interruptions on this. I don't know why it's happening.
I think what matters most to me is freedom. Freedom. I want as little laws as necessary to keep us from killing each other. I mean, I get it. There's crazy people out there. We have to find a balance. In the end, I want my children to live in a world where they're free to dream, to take risks, to fail, to succeed.
Hardship strengthens us.
Yes, it does.
We wouldn't have had the American Revolution and the beta model for the American Constitution, the beta model of a republic in the modern world, unless the tyranny of King George had been unbearable. All the good things in life usually are a result of some kind of a rebound against something that's very not good at all, very painful.
I mean, I think about if someone had jumped in there and taken away my failures. I can't do what I'm doing now if someone had kept me from really hurting, really learning lessons that were hard to learn so that I would never make that mistake again.
Facts.
In a philosophical sense, we should be thankful for this movement that's happening, in spite of the fact that it's tragedy and it's hurting people and all that. But without it, we might just go right along in that pot and be boiled in time. But now the frog is jumping out, and we have a chance coming up here now to create a new vision, and it's going to be great.
It's a bit cynical, but it is in the end good news that mass formation and totalitarianism always destroys itself in a relatively short time span. And the most important thing, of course, is that you have to make sure that the system does not destroy you before it destroys itself.
Throughout history, it was always the very small minority. History has always been written by the 1% of the population. 15% of the population create history.
Right.
And they follow the leadership, the thought leadership of 1%. But that 15% altogether is what changes history. And so all you have to do is reach 15% of the population. I think today, after all this time, we have more than 15%. We just have to get them together so they realize that they're not alone. And that's our task right now.
Right. And if you are a Trump supporter, don't be afraid. Don't. But it sucks that we have to be either one or the other. It really does. And if you don't want to do like the Democrat or the Republican, look at the independents. But look and do your research as to who these people are. Do they have a good track record? Who is better morally? Who is more morally sound? Who has the best track record of getting their policies passed and for the greater good for everybody as a whole? How would I benefit from this person being in office? How would my family benefit for this people being... That's how you should be voting. Who's not just the people that have voted for Joe Biden are so selfish. They did it because they hate Donald Trump. That's the only reason. And look at where we're at. The only way that we undo this is to stop thinking so much with our emotions and start using our damn brains. Hopefully we can do that. And I liked how he said, you know, we got that 15%. We just got to make people not so fearful. And what's so crazy is when he said that 1%, it like how not even 1% of our population has done screwed this whole thing up between men and women, masculinity, femininity, men coming into women's bathrooms, men saying, I feel like a woman, then they're the woman. They have all of these rights and they're protected. And you have to ask yourself why. Because they're easily persuaded. They're easily manipulated. They are doing the devil's job, the devil's bidding. No wonder why they're so protected. No wonder why he's having a pride event at the White House. No wonder why he's saying, you'd rather have a daughter than a alive son, or whatever, the whatever. Yeah, this is all part of that plan, that globalist plan. Eradicate women, eradicate men, eradicate the nuclear family. Let's not and pretend like they didn't try.
I don't think our societies have taken the moment to
10 minutes left,
look
guys.
up and actually see and appreciate how much progress has been made in the past century.
Bernie
On
Sanders.
so many different levels. We
Not
have
the
made
answer.
incredible progress. Like, what we've got here is actually great. It's imperfect, and we should still be making tweaks carefully to try to make it better. And I think that's where so much of that self-hatred or hatred of the nation or hatred of the other or whatever comes from. This lack of perspective and gratitude and inability to take a moment, chill out on the activism and go, wait, actually, okay, we've achieved a very unique and special point in history, and let's be careful with that.
On that note, as a man who's traveled the world, have you experienced any nation that has course corrected beyond their sins more than the U.S. has?
No.
It's sad to see Americans who live in a free country, born as Americans, and do not recognize their privileges. You are born American, a free country. You never suffered a starvation. And you need to go to other countries to find out why all the immigrants, millions of them, want to come here.
What is happening in our backyard today, I experienced as an 11-year-old. I remember vividly all the promises that a guy named Castro gave on how 99% of the people swallow the pill. He was going to save Cuba. I remember how he promised to the farmers, to the Guajiros, that you're going to own the land. I remember all the promises that we hear today about free education and free health care and free land. And my God, no freedom.
That's so crazy because in the beginning of this video, before my stream was closed down, I said go to any Cuban that lives here in the United States and ask them how they feel about communism coming to America. And they're going to say, I came here because I didn't want to deal with the tyrannical dictator, communist leader, Fidel Castro. We fled Cuba. Hey, quit screaming like that. So they fled here, and what they're also going to say is, communism is here already. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. It's really sad.
The defectors here that are speaking out against the Communist Party in China are risking their lives, and our government is not interested in listening to them
or helping
them
them
in any way.
Right, because they're getting paid by the CCP. Our leaders are.
I have been in America for 10 years. I saw a lot of Americans with wonderful hearts. America is a beacon of freedom.
Stop crying, you.
I'm happy living in this land to practice my religion and to have a peaceful life. That's my hope.
These are good headphones. I couldn't even hear him screaming like that.
America is last stand on
I
earth
feel so bad
for
for
freedom.
people that have came here to escape
If we
that.
lose this country, the world will be a very dark place. I have 3 children in this country. I want to protect their American dream. So here I am, you know.
I've noticed that every time you speak about America, your eyes fill with tears.
I do love this country. No place to go. And I just hope people can hear my stories. For past 5 years, I've been telling the same thing. I have no political agenda here. I just want to live American dream and my children live American dream. Sorry about that. It's time to ask questions. It's time to wake up.
We've been brought together in this moment to face the urgent choice between dehumanization and rehumanization. Dehumanization requires us to do nothing. Nothing other than to allow that process to continue to the point of no return. Rehumanization, on the other hand, requires action. One action. To remember. To remember what we knew as children, when everything was possible, before our attention was captured, before the conditioning set in, before our nature was denied. There's nothing new we have to learn. All we have to do is to remember.
And then take the hand of that memory and go out and stand on ground, not concrete, not asphalt. Stand on ground and see if you can feel the heartbeat of a universe that conspired to give you life, so that you once again can feel the joy of being completely human.
Hell yeah.
And then never forget that moment.
What a great documentary.
This is the moment for us to activate our innate ability to create solutions. That can only happen through the awareness of symbiosis, defined as a mutually beneficial relationship between different groups. All of life depends on relationships. Every living thing is in communication, from the stars to the planets, the earth, the plants, the elements, the insects, the animals, the humans, and every cell within us. Real change out there begins with real change inside.
In here.
As Americans today, we are truly a privileged people in a privileged land.
Told y'all.
But with our blessings come responsibilities, and with responsibilities come risks. The challenge of our time is that we must accept both the responsibilities of our blessings and the risks involved in defending them for ourselves and for future generations, and we must do this without hesitation if we are to be worthy benefactors of that precious heritage of freedom passed on to us through the epic
sacrifices of those who have gone before.
That's right.
Now, that is not flag waving, and it is not cliched patriotism. That's a simple statement of the obligations of citizenship in this glorious land, our land, which with God's help we shall preserve.
Wow. Well, that was quite a doozy. I'm going to drop the link again for... Oh, no, it's already pinned. It's pinned up in my comments, you guys. What a phenomenal documentary. That lady, you know, you came here for the American dream. And that's all we want. We don't, you know, to love one another, to succeed, to have failures, to stumble and fall and get back up. You know, a lot of these people who are these activists today, look at these people. A lot of these people with Antifa, they are elitists. They are spoiled ass rich kids that never had to work a day in their life. Look at these ones that are getting arrested and this. I shit you not. These anarchists are spoiled rich kids that never had to struggle. They don't have to want for nothing. It's crazy. If I look at it like, why would you even want communism? Communism is bad. There's people today in concentration camps in China. It's not good. Again, like if we don't get it together and get over this tension, they can conquer us pretty easily. They've got us divided. Well, when are we going to wake up and not allow that anymore? When we can say, let's agree to disagree. You know, you believe what you want to believe. You believe what you want to believe. But we still we have to be around each other. We have to literally, I don't even know where to begin to except do this. That's the only thing that I got. I don't go to protests. I don't go and I don't put myself in dangerous situations because I'm a mother. I don't want my children to be without a mom. I'm all they got. So, what a beautiful documentary this was, you guys. I am tired. That was a lot of mental, you know, it took its toll on me. So many ups and downs, so many different emotions, anger, sadness. But at least I'm not complacent. At least I'm not apathetic. At least I'm like, we got this. This can be fixed. So all you guys got to do is make sure that you are not complacent and you don't have a case of the fuckets. Because the fiber of this nation depends on you. And if you know you're getting lied to, call them out. The only way that we call them out is by making them take accountability. We don't want to enable people to continue their shitty behaviors by not calling them out and making them take accountability. When we tell somebody, oh, it's okay, keep on doing that, or I'm not even going to say anything, I'm too scared, that enables them to continue that shitty behavior. If you see people with this Antifa shit and whatnots, man, set them straight. Set them straight. All right, you guys, take care of yourselves, take care of one another, take care of yourself. And if you're a lone wolf, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. There ain't nothing wrong with that. All right, y'all. I love you very much. Thank you again for tuning in. This was a lot of fun. But it was a very eye-opening documentary on the whys this shit has happened. Don't stand for it. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And if you did fall for it, okay, chalk it up as a mulligan. Don't let it happen again. I love you guys. I'll see you later. I gotta go spend time with my kiddos. Have a safe and happy 4th of July. Don't be blowing your fingers off and shit. All right. Light the fuse and run, motherfuckers. All right, see you guys.